Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 290. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, I got to cut my audio. Sorry about that on my computer. Hey, we don't need to hear two of me, that's for sure. I'm really good at that.
Episode 300, we'll have this down, folks, I promise.
No, that would imply we might even be on time, too, which we're not tonight. So
like a minute late. I just wanted to make sure. I had to restart one thing.
So glad you guys could join us as the most polished podcast in disc golf comes to you live here on a Tuesday night. We are hoping that you guys are staying safe out there in amidst some crazy times. So tonight, I'll give you a quick preview of the show. We're going to have Dynamite joining us in just a few moments. Dana, who was a full 25 hours early yesterday, said he was ready to go last night. I said, it's Monday, right? And he said, oh, dang. Okay. So we're going to have Dynamite joining us here in just a few moments. And then after we catch up with him for a little while, we will segue over to talking with Miss Sarah Hokom. And I believe Sarah is still in the Mobile, Alabama area. I know she's been stationed or hunkered down there for the last few days, maybe even the last week or so. We'll catch up with Sarah. I know we've had some great conversations about what the season does or doesn't look like for her, and just some of the thought process that's going through her mind right now as one of our most veteran touring and seasoned touring golfers out there. There's a lot of unknowns, and I don't want that to sound like stating the obvious or a broken record, but I think talking through some of her thought process should be pretty enlightening for you guys out there. So we're excited to catch up with her, and then after that, Johnny, we may or may not have something new and exciting to discuss or show off tonight or be part of, or no?
We might. We could do something tonight.
We might. Okay.
You and I talked about this a little earlier today about some of our plans that we're going to – this is really the last week where we're going to have probably real disc golf news. We might get some little things here and there, but as far as we know, tournaments and everything are canceled for the next – through, what was it, April?
Through April, the end of April?
Through the end of April. So we are looking to do a couple other different things, maybe bring back some old classics, maybe with a little twist here and there. And you and I talked about it earlier today. And
Dance parties,
correct. Raves. So Terry's bringing glow sticks later. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Please don't ever. Someone's going to cut that out of just you and I doing that. It's going to be a meme on Disc Golf Uncensored within the next week.
Oh, they are so raw over there. Oh,
and
raw.
And yeah, so I brought that up to you. And then I saw in our title that you talked about doing it tonight. So we'll figure something out.
If something works. So stay tuned. There's a little secret out there. We'll leave that hanging out there for you guys. So I think without further ado, we can bring him in, our beloved Dynamite. How we doing? Well, sorry. A little early. There we go. How are we doing tonight, Dynamite?
Doing good. It is Tuesday.
It is, buddy. I know it's so easy. In kind of a excited way, I say all the time, I sometimes don't know what day of the week it is unless we're either live or it's, Smashbox. I'm very blessed. I feel like that I don't necessarily always keep track of the days. I don't look forward any more or less to a weekend like everyone else does. That's in fact when I go work the hardest. But with what's going on in the world today, whether you've become sequestered to your house or whatever the case might be, I think a lot of people don't know what day of the week it is, yourself included.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, 25 hours ago, I was rip-raring, ready to go. I was planning, all right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then here I am, and I didn't do anything.
So to clarify, did you sober up and then rejoin us and get reprimed for tonight, or what did you have to do?
Oh, no, that was straight sober all the way. There's no – it's just the grind of a 2 and a 4-year-old at home for the last 10 days and trying to work and all that, and it just kind of everything's clouded.
Let's touch on that for just a moment. Of course, there's – we'll get into it a little more later with all of the shutdowns in various states now taking on different actions. Michigan, just yesterday, there was a big conversation, which, of course, has both Discraft and MVP as headquarters there, with Discmania being headquartered in Colorado, but then production, either taking place overseas or out of California. where does that put you and Discmania and kind of your workload and everyone else?
Yeah, good question. So we are still operational out of Colorado. Right now, the governor has requested that you have at most 50% of your employees working at one time. So we've kind of made some adjustments to schedules, and our office staff is working from home already. They've been working from home, but so we are still up and running in Colorado. We don't make discs there, as you alluded to. We've got 3 great partners. And right now we're operating as normal otherwise, with the extra precautions, and then, having staff working staggered shifts or every other day. So yeah, we're still rolling. Innova is, I think they're supposed to be down for a week or so. I think I saw that on Facebook or something. Not really sure there, but our partner in China, they're back up and running after being closed down from the coronavirus for a while. So we've got new releases going still. We've got a release this Friday, the PD3 European Open fundraiser, doing a fundraiser for an event that might not happen. But yeah, we're rolling. We're going with it. Disc golf. I'd say a week ago it was a little more. You weren't as chastised if you were playing disc golf, but now you might find yourself being chastised and told to stay home if you're playing disc golf. So I don't know. For a little bit, it seemed like we were gonna kind of disc golf was okay and playable, and now the PDJ is. They came out with their video yesterday saying stay home.
That is ultimately a suggestion of a very.
It's a request.
It's a request, suggestion, a plea, because what we're seeing is in a couple places around the country, the disc golf courses are getting really busy. Like more so than normal, because everybody can go out during the day, and that might not necessarily be the case a little further up north where we are, where the weather is still kind of right on the cusp of getting nice. Today would have been a great day for a lot of us to go out had there been courses, but it's getting to the point where the courses are crowded, which is completely defeating the purpose of what a lot of places are trying to implement. And I think the PDGA's thought, and I always hate to put my thought into their thought, but I'll say my thought is, you get a bunch of people out there, the county is going to look at that and say, well, what's the point of what we're doing? Let's pull the baskets anyway. Mm-hmm. And then you're out of luck. And on top of that, the disc golfers look like a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, they may not be looked upon favorably and just that looked at as if they're ignoring the orders that are out there to, social distance and do all those other things. And like you guys are probably both basically saying, it's an opportunity for, I feel like, for disc golfers to kind of be stewards of not just the game, but of the idea and the movement, and hopefully of some of the solution here. And you're just, I don't want to say you're spitting in the face of that, but you're outwardly kind of defying it and ignoring the recommendations that are available. And we get it. Like, all 3 of us here are as passionate about disc golf as you can be.
I would love to go out and golf right now.
But and so I understand when everybody is saying, well, that's my mental getaway, that's my physical getaway. Those are the things that are keeping my mind at ease or at peace right now. I understand all of those very valid concerns and arguments as well. The problem is once it magnifies, like we were saying, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of what the intended orders are. Do you see it kind of that way, Dana?
Yeah. And one of the talking about getting outside and hiking and doing these other things, I think one of the main differences with disc golf is that for a lot of people it is a social thing, and we're seeing a lot of courses busy, but you've also got the fact that a lot of people are going to be touching the baskets and
tee pads, benches, all that stuff you don't think about. Picnic tables, There's so many places where a disc golfer just sets stuff down or puts their hands on things, and you subconsciously probably don't even realize you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you heard "don't touch your face" and all that, a few weeks back, and like, oh man, I touched my face a lot. I didn't even realize I did it. And
how much
trying
we
to
all do
it, but so yeah, it's kind of a weird time, and I personally, where I'm at with it is I'm looking to stay away from everybody, aside from my family. We've been getting outside in our yard and going for walks when we can. I think we got some nicer weather coming up. I'd really love to play disc golf, but ultimately, for me, it's not worth it. One, I don't want to get my family sick. I don't want to get myself, my wife, anyone else that I come across. Like if I have to go to the grocery store, I don't want to pick that up and pass it. And two, initially it was young and healthy people are, they're okay. You're just going to get a little sick, but there's more than a few reports of those in their 30s and 40s that are otherwise healthy that are getting extremely sick, and then some even passing away. So for me, it's not worth it. I'll putt in the backyard while the kids play, or maybe run over and throw in the field, but would love to get out and play and have that hour to 2 hours of not thinking about anything, because this would be a great time to go play disc golf and forget about life and everything. But just going back to it, it's just not worth it to me.
This is the time that you can get better at disc golf. You can practice your putting in the backyard. If you have a basket, all the better. If not, you can rig something up. Mm-hmm. This is the time you force yourself to go out to a field by yourself and throw. There's tons of schools that are not in session. You can go to a football field. You can go to so many places right now and work on that Anheuser and work on that Heiser and the scuba or whatever you want to work on right now. Now is the time to do that. Avoid the courses where, and there's a lot of people out there that aren't PDGA members that will never see that message. And so I think what the PDGA is just doing right now is saying, listen, our people, the people that we are catering to, let's make us look like the good stewards here, and you go out and get better in a field. Go just stay away from people and go do that. And I think if you talk to any pro, they all tell you the same thing. Go out and practice. Go out and work on your field shot. Set up a cone and just throw to it. See how close you can get. Different shots, different angles, different everything. And this is when you can do that. I know it sucks not to be social, and I know it sucks that you don't get to play your favorite hole, that you birdie 1 out of 10 times, but you still love it. But just all the PDGA is saying, and I think SmashBoxx and Dana, we're all saying, it's just be smart. And it sucks for those people that were just saying, well, I went out in the morning when there's nobody there. I was out there at 7 a.m. and I didn't putt out, and I just kind of picked up my disc. We did CTP stuff, and I get it. Some people are going to be really smart about it. Yeah. But the problem is there's a lot that aren't.
Well, and my final thought on it for now will be, everyone loves the idea of, well, I'm just going to go out and do it by myself. The problem is if 1,000 people think that in a day, next thing you know, you have a crowded course. Like it very quickly catches up. Even if you are being, you want to go out alone and you want to play, that's where I think the whole concept kind of falls apart, unfortunately. So like we said, go out, plenty of ways to practice and other things to do. If I can maintain, if I'm as involved in disc golf as I am, and I can maintain going months without playing, I would challenge others to do the same. So, all right, Dynamite. So outside of all the, we'll say, less than ideal worldly issues going on, is there anything that's been, either coming across your desk, your social media, within the business, anything like that's kind of on the forefront of your brain these days with disc golf?
Yeah, I think myself, like a lot of other disc golfers out there, are starting to dig deep on YouTube and finding old footage that they haven't watched or have never seen before. So I personally when I get really bored, I love to go watch old disc golf guy interviews, the old school vlogs. Terry, do you have any vlog, any of your old school ones that any favorites that jump out to you? I always enjoyed the Steve Dodge ones because you never knew what he was going to say or do. But yeah, if you haven't caught Terry's old school stuff, it's pretty good.
Yeah. One of my favorites, and I don't know why, it's probably because I held the camera and I was there, but Dave Fehlberg in Japan, when we took
Number
that
34.
Yep. If you were able to pull that out, and more power
I think
to
it
you.
might have been. It was a classic.
34, you said?
It was an instant classic.
That's a great one. Just it's Dave in his prime. A bunch of us know how Dave is. He's a great guy and is a wonderful steward for the sport. But Dave likes to talk sometimes, and that was one of my favorites in Japan with Dave Fehlberg.
So it was not 34. 34 was coincidentally with Steve Dodge, and we were at AM Worlds, which kind of brings up a couple points for you, Dana. I really pride myself in that so many of those older style vlogs, like still today, I was traveling everywhere. I was talking with AM World winners. I was talking with, David Wiggins when he's setting or breaking or winning a world distance record or something of that nature. Or there's a birdie bash going on that Steve Dodge is in the middle of organizing. Rarely did I really do much in terms of product reviews. That was kind of the initial thought, and I got away from that relatively quickly because I started interviewing our players, our ambassadors, rules questions. There's a good one out there with myself and Billy Crump back when the Clash DVDs were a main form of disc golf media around 2010.
Ooh, we should try to get those Clash DVDs up on Disc Golf Network.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff along those lines that can be available for you. Now it's going to drive me crazy that I don't know. I'll have to look later. But, yeah, I appreciate it, Dana. I feel like...
Looks like number 29.
Okay, so I wasn't too far off. There it is. Yeah, number 29. And it's funny. I think my first, vlog number 1, last time I looked, had less than 1,000 views on it. And it probably should. I don't want it to... but... there is, and I know Mahmood from the Disc Golf Network has I guess complimented me and said anytime I need references or anything from years past, like there was probably a situation where I interviewed said person or promoter or tournament director or tournament champion in a given situation, and he uses those kind of as his number one research when he goes back and looks for older stuff. So I apologize if any of it's not edited well or is edited worse or is cheesy. Or
not edited at all.
Or not edited, yeah, or there's poor sound. My vlogs, my entire career started with a $99 camera that's less sophisticated than the phones we're using. So I appreciate the idea there, Dana, but don't laugh too hard when you go back to some of those. It's taken me a lot of years. Do you have a favorite? I know I talked to you. Didn't you there was one that was just before the memorial. It was your birthday. I had an ace that was featured in it. Someone had ace during warm-up, someone out of California. Is it just a given, all the ones where I feature you, or what? Do you have any favorites?
Well, you guys both know how vain I am, so absolutely. I'm Googling or YouTubing my name, and DG guy whenever I get real bored and need to pick me up. But yeah, that's like I said, the Steve Dodge ones were always interesting. And then I can remember holding the camera for more than a few.
I think there's not a lot of people on tour that can't say they've held the camera for the disc golf guy at some point. Like even, hey, Mr. Macbeth, come here. Can you hold
this? You took second this week, and you got to hold the camera while I interview someone else.
Interview the winner.
That's how we did it. Yeah. Right?
Yep. So yeah, that's something that I've seen some chatter on Twitter, talking about old footage. I bring up the disc golf guy. One of my other favorite tournaments to watch is Portland Worlds. Mm-hmm. Central Coast and others did a great job. There's a ton of coverage. I think Central Coast was doing like 3 cards around, but it ends in the epic playoff between Ricky and Paul. I won't tell you who won, but you should definitely go watch that one if you haven't. So, that's something that, people are talking about personally, and I think I hope, and I think a lot of people and a lot of disc golfers, having the rug pulled out from underneath them has got to be it's a huge wake up call. What's important in life, and for myself, I'm doing some soul searching and thinking deeply about my actions every day, and what I do and what I think and where I can improve, and I'm hoping to come out at the end of this a better person, and then on a better path. So if you guys haven't started doing that, maybe do a little go look in the mirror and do some soul searching and see how you can make yourself a better person.
Well, I'll follow that and say I think it really, a slightly more materialistic version, I will say it really makes you think about your backup plans. It makes you think about, hey, my
SmashBox
van
was my backup plan.
Yeah, great. My van could break down, or as Paige Pierce talked about in her vlog, when you live in your van and it's got to go to the shop for a day or two because it needs a legitimate repair or some kind of fix or something. I think this should bring awareness, not only, to searching maybe for what you're trying to achieve and get out of life and all of those really important things, but it also, on a materialistic side, makes you think about, hey, do I have a contingency plan? What if, substitute this and pretend like you broke your arm, for the year, or you're going to be out for the rest of the year. I think those are some of the things that our disc golfers can now maybe find a little more relatable. Heaven forbid any of those things happen, but this is kind of one of those, like, I guess, similarities, and start thinking about really everything from your touring schedule to how you get around to who you travel with, and then where you can and can't have backups and contingency plans.
Mm-hmm.
Always, if I were one of them, I would just always roll with a second driver and a second spare touring van and just have someone following me.
More than likely.
I mean, maybe not. Dana, the other news within the PDGA was talking about the suspending of sanctioned tournaments, as you mentioned. I know you're no more a doctor than Dr. Mario here or myself.
He looks more like Dr. Mario than me right now.
Do you have a thought or a prediction in your head, or maybe a best or worst case scenario of when you think we're going to see professional disc golf at high tournament levels played again?
Honestly, it's a really, really tough question. We're hearing a lot of different things from up at the top here at the government, and it's hard to discern what is real and what isn't, and what's achievable. So I think when we do see disc golf come back, we might see some changes, such as maybe local events moving towards a different format. Instead of having 2 rounds of shotgun, we see what they've been doing locally here in the Joliet area. They've been running their events, one day C or B tier events, as tee time events. So you just have like a group player meeting before the event, and one division tees off, first, and then the next one, and then they have a shuffle. You have an hour lunch and then go. So what you're doing is kind of, taking away from that festival atmosphere that you have at a traditional tournament with the player meeting and then lunch and then afterwards with awards. It's a lot more spread out. So I could see early events going to that model. It seems to take about the same amount of time. You may be able to get a few extra players in, depending on daylight, but that's something that I could see changing. Maybe for the rest of the year, and maybe it's a mandated thing because, as many of you have seen it, they think there could be a second wave after all this social distancing and lockdowns and quarantines are over. So it'll still be important to stay away from those large groups and, not spread spread it around a second time. So that's something. So, but on that topic, our big events for the most part are tee times, or actually they're all tee times aside from Beaver State Fling and maybe another random one in there. So I say that bodes well for returning, that we're not having huge groups of people. I think that we'll see things like virtual player meetings and less groups of people. At least for maybe for the rest of the year, it'll be a mandate from the PDGA. No player meetings. It's all virtual. Go to tee times, no matter if it's a 1-day event, 2-day event, or whatever the case.
Yeah, who knows what the landscape's going to be like? We're not quite there yet, but with some of our bigger majors, still in limbo. Of course, we've seen, things like the Pro Tour and the National Tour have halted, as well as, the collegiate championships, things of that nature, a very large-scale event. Worlds being in June, and we touched on that last week, that's still very much up in the air. I don't think any decisions have been made one way or another, but with it being so much earlier than usual, it certainly is going to be in the crosshairs of a possible postponement or cancellation or delay or whatever the case might end up being. But it's you're right. We may have a totally different landscape, and that may start this year and carry throughout the year, or we may not even really get restarted this year. It's so unknown. So we'll see, and how everyone's behaviors change. Are we gonna have to change your segment, the SmashBoxxTV big hug?
No, yeah, we can't have any big hugs.
Oh, Dana.
The V hug, virtual hug.
The V hug.
But yeah, talking about we've got this year. Worlds is very early in June. Women's nationals even earlier.
Yep.
Those are a couple events that are likely to be impacted. So what we're going to have to do is look at rescheduling. There has to be a world championship. There has to be a U.S. women's. But what I'm seeing is all these other events early in the season that are getting canceled, and they're picking up dates later in the year. It's going to become really condensed, and I think that it's going to be tough to make up the events that are able to reschedule. Like with Worlds, could see that being like like something in the fall even. Yeah. Maybe if Utah isn't able to host it at that time of year, or it doesn't work for whatever reason, it'll likely be at the IDGC. This is just me throwing that out there, by the way. No, nothing official there, just talking. But it's going to be interesting to see how the schedule all shakes out and who gets where the priority is. We saw Throw Down the Mountain was canceled this last weekend. The pro divisions, or not the pro divisions, but the MPO divisions, FPO. I've already seen. I think they're looking at an October date. So I mean, there's a weekend that's already snatched up in an already packed fall. So lot of things at play, and I just I'm missing disc golf already, and I know everyone else out there is too. And I guess it's not even the most important thing right now.
We've literally not had disc golf tournaments for about a week, and people are starting to be like, it's so somber.
Everybody's losing it. Well, it's what so many of us, eat, sleep, and live by. And so it's understandable how impactful it can be. And just think, I mean, if there's a little silver lining, think we have these big problems to even be concerned with. 20 years ago, this would have been like a big deal to like 10 people, maybe, in terms of disc golf. And it would have been so much less impactful at that time in the disc golf community. And now we have, of course it's terrible. We have all these livelihoods, myself included, that are being directly impacted by it. But it also, again, if you're looking for that silver lining, it's like, hey, we have an actual disc golf industry to even be worried about. And I guess that's one of the takeaways there. So, All right, Dynamite, do you have any other final deep thoughts for us before we head over to Sarah Hokom, who, again, I think is going to have some great insight as to her year and her plans as best as she knows. But is there anything else you have for us?
No, I just wanted to thank you guys for having me on, and just give a shout out to everybody out there. Keep your heads up. It's tough with all the uncertainty out there, so focus on the things you can change and you can focus on. And for me, that's looking inward, and I suggest you guys try to do the same. And if it gets too much for you, put the phone down, close the computer, and look away from Twitter and Facebook, because it's pretty ugly scene out there on social media, and it can be too much. And that's speaking from personal experience. So everybody take good care, wash your hands, and I hope to be talking about tournament results with you sooner than later, and maybe I'll see you next Monday. No,
Yeah,
Tuesday.
exactly. One of those days. And as Johnny V just so eloquently put it, everyone's Circle 1 putting percentage should be at 100% if you do find yourself on a course, meaning you're not even putting, pick up, just count it as in. Everyone's stats will go up. All right, Dynamite, thanks for the insight tonight. Have a good one, buddy.
All right, boys.
See ya.
Good night.
All right.
Yeah,
Dana.
there was someone on the board that was saying that they're going to get to be a really good putter, and I said, next year, we better not see any missed putts inside of 20 feet.
Yeah.
Because we'll know who's been putting in the time.
Yeah, and you really did hit on it perfectly earlier when you said.
I usually do.
Now, I'll give you a little credit here. Just every professional in our sport will say, I got better by going into a field and practicing for hours at a time by myself. And now you have that opportunity to do. The other interesting thing for us is that we maybe aren't feeling it. I do feel sympathetic for someone who is in a warmer climate than we are, and they're used to golfing 7 days a week. I was going to say 8, but 7 days a week. You and I aren't typically, just due to the weather, we're not itching to get out every single day. When it was 30, 31 degrees and windy the other day, we weren't planning on going out anyway.
When a lot of the courses in our area are closed anyway because of the thaw, we've said it year after year after year. This time of year for the northern climate, stay off the course because you're going to destroy the new growing grass. It's going to turn into a mud pit, yada, yada, yada. This is, in theory, forcing us. And there's usually in our area maybe one or two. There's still one or two courses that are still in the ground. I believe our Valley View course is still in the ground.
Maybe.
I think it is because they just canceled some doubles league they had there. And I believe there might be one more. But ultimately, they're just saying stay away. Please just stay away.
Okay, I think we've got Sarah Hokom possibly.
We're dialing her up right now.
Dialing it in. We're going to catch up with her. She's going to be coming in from the south. I believe she's down in the Mobile, Alabama area. And it sounds like she's ready or available at least. And hopefully we're going to have some video and audio from her in just a moment. And she's all ready to go. So without further ado, thanks to our Disc Baron Digital Green Room, we can now welcome in Sarah Hokom. How you doing tonight, Sarah?
Doing pretty good. Can everybody hear me out there?
Loud and clear. We're doing good.
We can. So I've been kind of talking about, without trying to steal all of your plans or thunder here, I've been just talking, you and I have had some great chats in the last few days, and you're really in a uncertain position of where you want to head to next. So kind of break down your thought process for people right now.
Yeah, this is definitely unprecedented times on the tour. And for me personally, essentially, after the tour was canceled, the main events were canceled. We've kind of had this like slow progression of things changing as we kind of expect in a situation like this. But after Waco was canceled, some of the A tiers were still looking like they were going to happen. And it seemed like kind of a short-term cancellation. I also had some events planned that I still was planning to run at that point, when we didn't know quite as much as we know now. So I went to Mobile, which is where my next stop was for the City Mobile Championships. And I did end up running my little event, a throw and glow MVP. Thanks for the people that were able to come out for that. And then we kind of get the news that the cancellation is extending further. Now even events in May are not happening. So I'm still in Mobile, Alabama. I've kind of stayed put just for my own sake, to make sure that I didn't get stuck somewhere. With kind of the threats of the National Guard being called out, there were rumors that, martial law would be enforced and all this, these types of kind of scary situations. So I didn't want to be halfway to kind of my parents' house and then end up, being stuck somewhere that wasn't safe. So I'm still in Mobile. I do think I did talk to my parents this morning, and I do think I will head there because I'm getting the feeling that this is going to be a little bit longer than we initially anticipated. And it'll be good to spend some time with my family, which I don't get to do too often.
Yeah, and so Idaho is where you're from. You kind of even started thinking ahead about if the tour does pick back up, there's a chance it could be still in the quote-unquote West Coast swing, or at least somewhere in that region, maybe even with Worlds being in June, Idaho, Utah, all kind of that general area. That's probably your best bet. Is that kind of what I guess, is that best case scenario now?
It is best case scenario that is we start back up in June. Maybe we'll get something in May. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. I think that's very optimistic. I have some short-term plans and then kind of some more long-term, semi-long-term options that I'm exploring in case this goes longer than we all expect.
Yeah, and that brings up another question, and we just talked to Dana about maybe a little self-reflection internally, but then even on a outwardly nuts and bolts kind of vantage point. What are some of the things you're thinking about? Are you thinking about a job outside of disc golf, if you can even find one, or if anyone can find one, that for that matter? Like, what are some of the thoughts that you're having right now for how you move into the next 2 or 4 or 6 months, assuming disc golf is or isn't even available?
Yeah, I mean, I keep my bills really low, and so I don't have to make a ton in order to survive through several months. So I'm going to be, tapping into my stash of collectibles, putting those online. Also, I have a couple of boxes of my Tour Series stamp this year, the Temple of the Serpent Sidearm. Check that out if you haven't seen those yet. But so I'll be selling those online. So hopefully people still have a little bit of cash to throw at some discs. And then I'm also offering online video analysis, coaching, and then even some private lessons in some cases. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm going to do short term to sustain. And then, really working on projects that I always seem to not have time for, such as, figuring out how to edit videos so that I can put out some more content, more and better content. That's definitely a huge goal of mine.
Do you have any video editors we're going to have in disc golf by the end of this?
Yeah, everybody's going to be a video editor. All of you guys are going to want to just film video instead of and edit it instead of playing anymore. Jeez. No, what else are you going to work on?
On that same line, I'm kind of redeveloping a concept that I used about 4 or 5 years ago to get my putt in line. I wasn't particularly happy with the way my putt looked at Waco and felt. So I'm going to use this time to do kind of a remake of the 100 putts for 100 days. So look for that to happen. It'll be expanded a little bit more. There'll be some worksheets that people can print off or download to kind of keep track and graph their progress, and lots of ideas on ways that you can make putting practice fun and work specifically on different skills. Kind of a look into how I work through my putting issues and work through my putt to get better. So I'm hoping I can share that with people so they can do that in their backyards and kind of keep their putt tight. And also I'm hoping to build a little bit more of a social media following with that project.
Yeah, I know when you did that a few years ago, there was a lot of excitement around it. And I know we talked about it multiple times here on the show. And I think it's great anytime our top-level professionals are sharing their steps, their progress, their struggles. Whenever you're sharing those things, it feels like it makes it that much more relatable, because everybody all of our top players were once not so good. And so when some of those other people are watching, they're hopefully gaining and learning some of those insights and realized, you know what, you don't make every putt inside the circle every single weekend. And here's some of the things that you're thinking about and trying to correct and to fix. So I think it makes everyone so much more relatable.
Yeah, and also with this challenge, I'm going to basically challenge everybody to do this with me. But it keeps me accountable to make sure I'm getting my putting practice in, and hopefully it'll keep other people accountable to give them some kind of a goal to strive for while we're kind of dealing with this, this stressful time. We don't really know how to act right now because just everything is so different. So something that brings you back to kind of the source of some sanity.
So a moment ago when you were talking about video, and you and I had some great conversations about content and video and editing and such, but we also just wrapped up, and people were watching as recently as maybe just an hour or two ago, the final round and the entire conclusion of the Samui Swine Classic 7 presented by Innova, where you won in Thailand, which was also your first visit there. So we didn't get a great chance to really catch up on it, but the video's out there. People have been watching it and enjoying the action. Give us kind of a recap. Take us back to, a few months ago with how beautiful and great things were when we were all in Thailand.
Oh, man, how much time do we have here? We can talk all night about this.
You stayed right off of the course at one of the relatively new cottages or what's the bungalow, I guess we'd call it. You were right off the tee of hole 3, actually. You ended up getting a month-long reservation there, which was very, very affordable. But break down like your first trip to Thailand, some of the things that maybe your first impressions.
Yeah, so I had never flown to Asia before, and it was a long flight. I'm not gonna lie, get a good pillow. Definitely try to sleep on the plane if you can. And then I got to Bangkok, and I took another plane to the island. And when you get there, you're flying in, and you just see all the palm trees and just these beautiful beaches. And then when you get there, when you actually get off the plane, it's this kind of crazy ring road that goes around the whole island. And it's not too far, maybe, half a mile or a quarter of a mile right off the beach for most of the ring road. And you're kind of dodging between motorbikes and driving on the wrong side of the road, and there's no rules, there's no road signs, and the ring road itself is pretty confusing. And so when I first got there, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I know people here that can help me get around. I didn't venture out on my motorbike too often by myself for the first week and a half. I would have my routes. So the motorbike and then the traffic and that kind of thing, that was really kind of mind-blowing. But beyond that, I mean, there were these markets every morning and every night where you kind of just walk around and talk to different vendors and look at all this cool stuff. And then the beaches themselves are just gorgeous, not overdeveloped like maybe other places are. And then you get to the course, and it's this cute little coconut farm with these cool baskets and this sweet cafe and this beautiful putting area. And it's unreal in that little space that they can have so many cool holes, and it's such a cool vibe. And there's 11 holes on that course. The first thing I was warned about was to walk through the coconut trees as an alley rather than walking next to the trees, because if the coconuts fall, nobody's had it happen to them yet. But if the coconut falls and hits you, it's
out.
probably gonna. So it's just beautiful. And then the monkeys are crawling up the trees and knocking the coconuts down, and there's roosters calling everywhere, and there's all these stray dogs everywhere, which was heaven for me, for real. I'm an animal lover. Whew. I actually adopted a whole pack of them to Nigel's dismay, because I was after his barbecue, I stole all of his bones, and I was giving it to the stray dogs for 2 weeks afterwards. Sorry, Nigel. But we had a cute little pack of them, and most of them were kind of skittish, but this small group, anyway, Mama and Cinnamon and what was the other one's name?
Luna, was that one?
Well, Luna, that's Nigel's dog. That
okay,
one's, okay. She has them. But yeah, no, Luna, she's one of the dogs. Nigel has his own pack. Actually, our pack and Nigel's pack, they got along really well. It was just this other pack across the street that was causing troubles.
All these hood dogs running around creating trouble. So as Luke, who's on the board, and he's one of the kind of the great conduits to really help bridge, I'll say, not just America, but the rest of the countries into the Thailand disc golf scene. Luke Butch is who I'm referring to. He has also mentioned that there's even a little bit of an expansion as early as next year. I think we might see that as 13 holes as opposed to 11. And then that kind of segues to a great question by Daniel on our board, which is, with playing 11 holes and then playing it through twice as a 22-hole round, does that at all, did you get bored, or does it feel monotonous, or do you treat them as two separate 11-hole loops and it's just no big deal? Like, what was your mentality knowing you were playing the same 11 holes twice to make a round? Did you even think about it that way?
I definitely thought of it like 1 round, 2 round, like the first group, the first 11 is like the front half, and then the second 11 is like the back half, even though you are playing the same hole.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that far off of a 9-hole round, even though it was 11 holes, because the holes are pretty short. At least, like 6 of the holes are pretty short out of the 11. So it didn't really feel like much more than 2 9s, just happened to be the same hole. Now, I will say that I never once got bored playing the holes. Never once. They're fun, right? So, and they're a bunch of different kinds of shots. And so I think that's a great course. However, I did get kind of bored commentating on all 66 holes. 6 holes, 6 times for each hole. I ran out of stuff to say in the pre-hole description.
Yeah. That's the one question, and that is a good piece of feedback. I'd love to get more out of the viewers, which is with playing, obviously hole 1 is the same as hole 12, and then does hole 12, so to speak, and the entire back half, do they need separate drone previews to get played through before you play them? I think that's a valid question, because as you're saying, by the time you've gotten to the back 11 of round 3, that will, you're talking about seeing these holes 6 times. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying there. Well, I want to bring that up though. First of all, thank you for doing the commentary with me. It's something you've really kind of grown into. You've been kind of one of the early adopters and front runners of FPO commentary. I mean, of course, we have a few men that have typically done it, usually always on men's footage, but you're one of the in the forefront of the women that have done it for women's golf. How much do you enjoy it? Is it a burden? Is there where do we go with it?
I just right now I kind of treat it like an unpaid internship. I feel like, I've had an opportunity to do it for a couple of years now, and I enjoy it. And I think I look to improve my skills and, maybe do more commentating. I'm just kind of not really looking too far into the future on that, because you never know, but I'm going to keep developing the skill. I do like to do it. I think it's pretty fun, and to come up with clever things to say, and being able to share some knowledge about the course that maybe people who haven't gotten to go there would like to know. I think that that's fun, and also because I know most of the ladies' games pretty well, I can give a little bit insight into that. I think that's cool. Maybe get them to understand some of the beauty of what the ladies are doing out there and some of the struggles that they have. Kind of make every one of the players that I commentate on a little bit more relatable to the public is definitely one of my goals. As far as the time, I actually really like doing the Waco commentary because I was able to do it in the morning. Instead of in previous times, I've played in the morning, spent all afternoon just, working or doing whatever, and then had to stay up really late in the evening to do the commentary, and then yet get up really early in the morning to go play. So in that format, I think it is a bit of a burden. And there were times when I was slated to do it, and I said, I can't do it. And I would find somebody else to take my spot, or, somebody would step in graciously. So I think that it's much better to do the commentary. It's just the timing of it. It's tough to stay up late and then get up early and play. It's so much better to just get up early to do the commentary and then, play my round. And then I can actually get a full 8 hours of sleep.
So although it might be a little bit of a moot point at this moment, it then begs the question, do you like the later start and what the Pro Tour has at least started the season with in terms of having the FPO going on after the MPO? And you can answer that from a player perspective, and then I think we know your media perspective answer, but maybe not. I mean, do you have any other media-related thoughts about trying to gain extra eyeballs on that FPO after the MPO every day?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think the advantage is the extra eyeballs. And I think that that's good. I mean, whether we have to kind of force feed people a little bit of FPO here and there, I think it's important. And being able to showcase the ladies in front of a big audience is the number one way that we're going to make audiences fall in love with the players, which is the biggest way that they're going to follow us and support us. So I definitely agree that that is a good move for that reason. And at first, when I found out about it, I recognized that the media side of it was an important piece of that decision. And so I respected the decision. But in my heart, I was kind of like, oh, I kind of like to play in the morning and, and then I have my whole day afterwards. But in reality, that's not actually how it worked out. So I would wake up in my morning, at a normal time in the morning, have my coffee, and then I would have like 5 hours of free time in the peak of my kind of mental focus area of the day, to get a bunch of work done. Whereas truthfully, I could have been doing this same work after my rounds previously when I played in the morning, but in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I just did all of this and that, I would make up these, excuses for why I've already worked today. So I don't need to do more work. And then, just the stress of the round and depending on how well it went, that would determine how much I actually accomplished otherwise after my round. So I'm finding I'm being way more productive. And so that's a really good thing. I'm still probably going to do my practice rounds in the morning because I really do prefer being on the course when there's less people. So then I can take my time on the holes and not worry about holding up groups while I'm practicing. So it does kind of bring that whole, like, I do like to practice at the same time of day I play. However, I'm not going to practice in the afternoon very often because the course is jammed up and that makes for a frustrating round. So I'll still practice in the morning. But yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like, and we've kind of talked about it in the past in recapping both the Memorial and Waco, that if we used to get 2 or maybe 3,000 people to possibly watch a full live stream of FPO, and instead now we're getting 4,500, 5,500, 6,000, whatever the number is, and even if that's a fall off from 10,000 on the MPO and then 6,000 to the FPO, that's still 6,000, and that's still double or triple sometimes what we saw in previous years. So it clearly is working from that eyeball perspective, and I think it'll continue to hopefully grow and thrive in that sense. So, and
yeah, that reminds me, I'm working also with UDisc. We kind of talked about it today a little bit, to write some articles that kind of parse out the way that the FPO division has, how we've been, certain TDs or tournaments have made special effort to kind of take measures to entice more women to play. So I'm going to be working with UDisc to do at least one article related to understanding how effective that is and in which tournaments have been successful doing that and which haven't and why. So look for that coming out with UDisc in the coming month, probably.
Awesome. Now, backtracking just a little bit, when we were talking about the course over in Koh Samui, the Samui Disc Golf Course, Nigel's Barbecue, this amazing setting and ambiance and everything you set up, you ended up shooting 3 rounds of 8 under each round. 24. I'll do the math there, folks. That's 24 under, but all 3 rounds rated 997. So again, the average is pretty easy for me. That's some pretty good golf. The course, the feels, what was it about having 3 rounds at 997? I mean, we'll just call it 1,000 rated golf. That was a pretty stellar weekend to play. How did that come about for you? What went into it?
I practiced the course a lot. Being right next to hole 3 really made a difference. So I could just walk on the other side of the fence and just play as many rounds as I wanted. It only really took about 45 minutes or so to play 1 round of 11. So there's a lot of hours in the day to practice there. And so I did practice a lot. And then of all of the holes, I would say that there were 6 holes or so that are pretty standard birdies that I don't have to throw like a really difficult shot to get. There were about 3 of them that I would consider kind of bonus birdies. And then there were like 3 of them that I couldn't even get to. So, my game plan was really, I got a few of the bonus birdies and I got the other shots, those 6, I got those almost every time, at least, 1 out of 2 times we play it per round. And I think it's pretty freakish that I shot the same exact score every round. I've never done that before. And I didn't shoot it in the same way. The first round I didn't get as many birdies, but I went bogey free, and then in the last round I got a bunch of birdies, but I also got a double bogey. So, it was just bizarre to shoot the same rounds. However, I do find, if we're talking about how high the rating was,
mm-hmm.
We played the same tees as the men. We're rated with the men in this particular situation. But I mean, of those 6 holes that I could get to pretty easily with a standard shot, and then those 3 bonus holes that you're really rewarded when you peer the shot. That's the kind of golf I feel like that a lot of the MPO players have the opportunity to play. If we look at they'd be able to throw a flex shot, a standard flex shot with a fairway driver, or they're able to throw a hyzer, or it's a simple putter shot, or mid. Granted, the distances are 100 feet further on a regular course, but on this course, because my skill set allows me to throw a simple shot to get the birdie. That's why I'm getting birdies out there. When I've played other, usually women's events where the course is shorter, I shoot a lot of 1,000 rated rounds or highly rated rounds when I get to throw hyzers and more simple shots. But because most of our courses are stretched out so far, I have to throw a distance shot on a dime in order to get that birdie, or a crazy fairway drive that flips up and turns and comes back, so the difficulty of the shot really makes the percentages so much lower that you're going to actually execute it. And so often on our regular tour, those are the kinds of shots I have to throw every single hole. Out there, I only had to throw that kind of a shot half the time. The other half was made up of holes that are pretty standard.
So let me extrapolate that a little, because someone that wanted to be critical of you might consume what you just said and turn that into saying, so what you're saying is courses should be short and easy. And so I guess argue against that point, because somebody might hear what you just said and then regurgitate it back to you and say, you want short and easy courses so that they suit your game better. And I guess I would like you to rebut that.
Yeah, that's a fair criticism, or a fair kind of question. And I definitely don't think that. I don't want the courses to be short and easy. Definitely not. However, if we consider what the MPO plays as the gold standard for how courses should be designed for our elite male players, then I want those same standards applied to our elite female players, design courses for their distances.
Okay.
Not just, technically, if the men's game or whatever, if this, this par 3 is meant to be thrown with a mid, then the women's version of it should probably be a similarly designed hole. If with the assumption that the way the men's courses are designed, these gold standard courses, is what we consider the best course design out there. I mean, I know that there's a lot of assumptions within that, but in general, yeah, I think that, there's the PGA and the LPGA have much different course design. And I think that, that same logic should at least apply if we're trying to, push the women's game and make it a fair competition.
Well, I think and make it compelling. And I guess my biggest example would be, I think about, I don't remember if it's hole 3 or maybe it's hole 4 or 5 out at Vista del Camino as one example. There's a hole that's 350 feet. Like, that's almost a guaranteed birdie for the men's, most of your MPO all day. It's a hyzer, 350 feet. That clearly can be got by a number of the women on our FPO field, but that hole plays entirely different, and it's not necessarily due to just the shape or just the distance. It's a little bit of everything, and we need to analyze that hole and say, is that hole going to produce the scoring spread that we might see on an MPO side? Is it 350, but you could still go OB, and so you see a little bit of everything. I don't want to get too far in the weeds because I know we could talk for hours on this, but I follow what you're saying, and I hope others continue just to have an open mind about how we think about these holes are designed, because I completely follow your logic. And some are going to still disagree, but I follow it.
Yeah. As we develop more standards for course design, I think some of this stuff will parse its way out. Like, we're going to start to understand more about what we really want as a community in the course design. And there's quite a few really talented course designers out there kind of leading the way to produce that standard. One just quick tidbit about that. Leonard Muse is one I've reached out to. He did the Glen Eagles course, and he's done a lot of California ball golf conversions. And I asked him what his goal is for making a hole and how far it should be according to the people he's designing it for. And he told me that, I believe it was he would like 20% birdies from players that cash. So 20% of the top 40, or the top 40%, 20% of the 40%, if they get the birdie, that's about the number he's looking for an average par, or for an average scoring for a par, or for a par 3, or whatever the par is, for an average hole, excuse me. And then, of course, he said, then you're going to have ones that are a little bit harder, and then ones that are a little bit easier, where those variants are going to change. So, I mean, that's one course designer's thoughts on it. And so I don't know. I really, there's so much work to be done on that side of the sport. And we're just not there yet. And that's okay. We're going to get there. We are getting there.
Well, I mean, that goes hand in hand with you teaming up with UDisc. I mean, UDisc is finally, there's a lot of things we can all kind of feel willy-nilly about, but now we have actual data from some of our best courses in the world with some of our best players in the world playing them. And we can, the people that are into numbers, I'm not, but the people that are into numbers can look at and say, okay, yeah, this clearly should be moved. We're seeing this kind of scoring distribution here. Everyone may love this hole and think it's, such an iconic hole, but the scoring spread on it is terrible. And those are the things that the data can objectively tell us, and like you just said, we haven't had that data in the past. So Matt and Josh and Hype Man Dan, we appreciate you guys. I know you're out there listening, because it's really them helping drive that bus right now.
Yeah, and an interesting tidbit with Waco this year, there were 3 holes that they decided to change the par on. And unfortunately, I don't think that they actually considered the women when they changed that par. And changing par doesn't mean a whole lot other than maybe optics on, what the actual score, like what the actual under or over will be on the course. It doesn't really change much, but I think they could have left the par the way it was for the women. If we look at those 3 holes, I believe it was hole 9, hole 12, and hole 18, something like that. They all went down a par, And if we look at the women's scoring on those holes, we were like 1.5 over par on average.
I wonder
You
if
know,
you were to
like-
change the par for the women, if that would mess up the ratings between the two, even if the course is the same.
Par's irrelevant to ratings.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could have literally a par 22 course and a par 99 course, and when they get fed through the PDGA, if all the same people are playing the same tees to the same pins,
it's irrelevant.
The rating's irrelevant.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was figured into the ratings of some sort.
No. So, yeah, and it makes perfect sense what you're saying, because I'm thinking about hole 18 at Waco, and to be realistic, if Paige throws a perfect drive, she's getting there, and she's the only one that would even attempt that shot. I mean, you're not going to see an under par shot on hole 18 in Waco by a woman, are you, Sarah? I mean, realistically, if it's a par 3.
I mean, except maybe Paige getting that perfect shot and making a good putt. You know, we saw that, I think it was like 70% of the whole, 70% of the scores were over par. We only had 30% even get the par on that hole.
Sure.
You know, I mean, that's like, I don't know. I probably need to be having conversations with these TDs months and months in advance and just double checking, you know, hey, like, what up? Like, so last year, you called this a par 4, and I was thinking that, you know, we played it 2 strokes over par. Maybe we should either have a different tee pad or something. So, I mean, it would be nice if we had a system set up to handle that. And I know that Steve Dodge was really good about trying to analyze that data and just figure out what to do next. And he had future goals of, you know, this year we'll just try to work with 3 holes, and then next year we'll see about 6, and then the next year we'll just keep rolling it out. And then I think that kind of structure kind of died with the new takeover. I know Jeff Spring is really, really helpful for the women, and he's really supportive of us. And I'm not saying that he's not, you know, he's got a lot on his plate, but I haven't seen a lot of discussion related to the FPO layouts in recent times.
Yeah, and of course, I think all of that, I mean, as you probably will help lead that conversation with Jeff, I think that's something else that we'll have to continue to make sure is just on his agenda, along with the million other things that I know he's currently inundated with as we have, you know, had this transition and this takeover. And I'll echo that same sentiment. I feel like Jeff has been very responsive of the ideas of, hey, let's look at what's the best course that our divisions are playing that makes for the most compelling golf and fair and compelling. I think you're exactly right on that angle. So some people have asked, and I know you have a very athletic background in history. Is there a chance that, I guess, without schools or without other sports going on, like, you can't really dip back into the world of teaching volleyball or helping with volleyball or any other sports right now? That's not really even an option either for you. I guess someone's asking a little bit about your athletic background, and I immediately started thinking about, well, how could that maybe help get you through a lull in disc golf? But that's not much of an option either. Would you be interested in something like that if it was available, though? Like a camp of any kind? Or
I mean, I'm definitely going to be helping my niece with her volleyball skills. That's for sure. However, several years ago, I was really looking into supplementing my income while I was on the road remotely.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of tutoring services out there. So, especially with schools not being in session right now and online tutoring being just, there's so many opportunities for that. So there's a chance that's kind of in my short-term, long-term plan. If, you know, the season doesn't start up by summer, you know, I will definitely be pursuing, and I'll be getting my ducks in a row before that, but I'll be pursuing some other opportunities. The coaching, I would totally be interested in getting into some coaching. However, with the fact that, you know, no sports are even being played,
Exactly.
and it would be, you know, irresponsible to get a bunch of girls at a gym hitting balls around. So that's probably not on the agenda But yeah, I don't know. I don't really see myself getting back into the teaching industry directly. But I could certainly see myself facilitating some disc golf in schools with disc golf UPlay, DG UPlay with Zoe. We've been talking a lot about doing working. I've been talking a lot about working with her. So me being from Idaho, her being from Oregon, I'm hoping I can get up there and get some training sessions with her one-on-one and start developing kind of that elementary and secondary curriculum skills on like how to teach kids who are, of different levels. I'm used to teaching and doing clinics with pretty experienced disc golfers, and my clinics are very technical. So it's one of my goals to learn how to teach disc golf to younger kids. So that might happen.
No, it's great that you have some of those opportunities and even that thought and fallback. If plan A and plan B somehow goes awry or stays awry right now, you have some of those other skill sets to fall back on. And we'll see if they're needed or not. Hopefully they're not, because that means we're all playing and watching and filming and editing disc golf. But like you said, good to have another plan. One of the questions off the board was, and we'll let you go here pretty soon, but one question was, favorite event or maybe event that you're still looking forward to or area or maybe somewhere new you're trying to get to this year if things do pick back up. Is there anything that's out of the ordinary on your schedule this year?
Well, a couple things actually. They're both up in the air. I mean, there's always Maple Hill and Grey Mountain. I love those two places. And then I also heard that Music City Open is being played on a brand new course. That was designed by Chanticleer. So I'm pretty excited to go play that one. That's pretty late in the season, so there's a good chance I'll be able to get that one in. But I was planning to go to the European Open this year, and I'm partially thinking I should buy my airfare right now because it's probably cheap, and then make it so I can cancel it if something, if this doesn't work out. But it also seems kind of unrealistic at this point to even think that it's going to happen. The other one I was looking forward to was I was going to play the GoPro Mountain Games up in Vail. And that, gosh, with such a big corporate sponsor involved, I bet that gets shut down pretty soon.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I know.
It's not June. When Worlds is July 13th, right?
June 13th.
June 13th. Okay, so this is actually the beginning of June would be the GoPro Mountain Games.
Yeah, and
unfortunately,
it may be on the chopping block at this rate. I know one of the largest summer or music festivals in the planet is canceled here in Milwaukee, Summerfest. They just announced yesterday that's at the end of June into the first week or two of July, and they just announced yesterday that was officially being postponed or canceled. Either way,
I don't know.
It's not happening in the traditional sense, which is too bad. And yet understandable. Everybody's taking these precautions. Now you're in a really difficult position for the reasons you just said. You don't know what's happening and what's not. So making a plane reservation or a reservation at a campsite or whatever the case might be, like just everything's up in the air.
I'm making sure that everything is refundable at this point if I put anything out there for plans. But, shelter in place, that means like my place is wherever I'm
parked. So have home wheel travel. All right, Sarah, we're gonna let you go. We appreciate your insights and I guess even the recollection of what you just had in Samui. Congratulations, of course, on that win yet again. So everybody can go out and view it, all 3 rounds, along with commentary by yourself. And thank you so much for joining us. So, of course, we hope you remain safe and keep us updated of your plans.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really hope everybody stays kind of safe and healthy out there. Best of luck. And yeah, go to Thailand if you can. Maybe not right now.
Yeah, wait. We'll keep an eye on it for next year.
Put it on your calendar for 2021. That I will absolutely give the stamp of approval and double stamp of. That's the right idea, and I hope both you and I will be there along with a whole bunch of others. So looking forward to it. All right, Sarah, have a good night.
Yeah, and thanks for MVP Discords. Thanks, guys. You're the best.
All right.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank
Good night,
you.
Sarah.
No, perfect.
That was a great plug. Right at the end, that's what we need. We always want our players to give a plug.
Absolutely.
We've talked about it, especially right now when some of them are having, we'll say, a little more financial struggles than they have normally. I think I might have even said it last week. I'll say it again this week. We, Smashbox, really, really appreciates all the support that our patrons give us. But right now, if you're gonna go buy a disc, if you really feel and you can, because maybe you still do have a job, support a player, go look for those mid-level players, those ones that might,
call them out. Who are you saying mid-level? Name names.
Someone like an Adam Hammis, that right around there.
I wouldn't call. Ouch. Okay. I mean,
he doesn't
send hate mail to John
someone along those lines, a Zach Melton, an AJ Risley, just those type of players they're not a Ricky, they're not a Paul, they're not Simon or Eagle probably. I hate to bundle Eagle in with that because I don't know, but these are players that we know have probably pretty good, solid contracts. I'm talking about the players that are probably struggling to get by. Just like looking at the media crews right now, I would love it.
Come get me.
I would love it if Smashbox particularly jumped up to 10,000 patrons. But if you have the choice right now, go support a disc golf guy, an Ace Run, Gatekeeper. Throw your hate mail at me, but CCDG and Jomez and even Smashbox right now, we're not struggling.
Like, watch yourself.
The Smashbox, not Terry Miller. Terry Miller, on the other hand, is a little different.
I'm moving in with Sarah. I don't know what you're talking about.
In a van, wherever you need to go. That's my personal thought, and I think it behests us to right now support the mid or smaller players in our game, not necessarily the ones that have the big contracts that we know we're going to get by just fine without this. So
Disc Golf Nerd, everybody should be supporting you.
That's
as
right.
well.
Go Disc Golf Nerds. Go look for those smaller YouTube pages right now. The bigger guys, we're going to be here. That's without a doubt.
It was kind of crazy. Just to touch on that, I really reflected, as Dana would say, about these next few weeks and thinking about the events that are clearly canceled. Mm-hmm. And then I started adding them up and like, holy cow, I'm not going to this place. I'm not going to that place. Like, I think about all of our players, first and foremost, who are trying to compete in these tournaments. And then Sarah and I had this great long chat. I'm right there with her in that I'm used to traveling. I'm used to being part of that. Sure, my income largely is based on that as well, but it's just a very weird feeling of knowing those things. And again, we're all blessed to have the unique life that we do. I don't want anyone to ever think, oh, those poor babies can't drive around the country throwing Frisbees anymore. I don't think anyone's calling for that kind of sentiment,
nope.
But it has become a very different culture just within the small disc golf community that we have. So we do appreciate it. Like Johnny said, most of the channels have Patreon as an option, or you can find other ways to support them with merchandise directly or indirectly. Sarah does have the MVP disc, as she was talking about. The one question before she got abducted by aliens there, the one question I would have further expanded upon to talk about MVP is if she did have any conversations with the MVP family at the production level. And I say that because it was yesterday, it was kind of a hot topic that both Discraft and MVP were essentially shut down by the Michigan government in the sense that they weren't to be operating any longer. So I wonder what that really does mean as each of these manufacturers kind of handles that differently. And Dana spoke of their situation at Discmania, but at the same time, they're not physically producing discs like we see from an MVP or a Discraft. So we'll see how things kind of shake out, and like everything, the domino effect of, well, okay, well, my order didn't get out, but you kind of shouldn't really be playing disc golf anyway. So does it matter if your order got out?
We saw this week.
Online sales are still a thing, though. So.
Discraft shut down their factory.
Yeah, yep.
I heard MVP is doing the same.
Yeah, I think I heard that as well.
I believe it was Innova West is shut down as well. I have not heard about Innova East. I believe
they sent a message yesterday.
Did they? Okay.
Which I think said they're continuing to watch it and see how it shakes out. Mm-hmm. If I recall, I kind of went through the email quickly, but I did get one of those.
And I've not heard any. I mean, Dynamic basically is they get their discs from overseas, as you said. So that is a different, unique situation. But they are warehoused in Emporia. We've seen a lot of the guys from DD work from home. A lot of them where they're doing their Disc Golf Answer Man podcast from home and bringing in people via Facebook and things like that. So I'm not exactly sure the situation on that, but ultimately, it's interesting times because discs are this year's Tour Series discs going to be more valuable because there were less of them produced, and you've got all sorts of weird future issues that people might think about.
Mike out on the board said, what if your order, though, was a portable basket that you wanted? Now there, I feel a little worse for you because you're trying to adhere to the idea of practicing at home or in a field, and then the basket you may have ordered. But like Johnny said at the top of the show, which I think only older broadcasters say at the top of the show, you can still take a blanket, hang it up in your basement, and then draw a little square on it or something like that, or take some tape and outline a sweet spot on that blanket and then try and putt to that. No, it's not as gratifying or satisfying. I understand that, but that's one way. Or better yet, DIY your basket. Like
PVC pipe.
Let's see some of those really creative baskets that people could be making. Heck, how many of you guys have 3D printers? Just start printing your own baskets out there. I mean, come on.
Most of these shutdowns, there are things called essential businesses that will continue to run even with shutdowns. With Wisconsin and Ohio, because I've looked at a few of the lists, hardware stores and home renovation stuff, that is all still covered. Construction is what it's considered under. So those are still open. So go out, buy some PVC, make your own little aiming contraption. I wouldn't call it a basket, an aiming contraption, and show us if you have something like that. Whether, like Terry said, whether it's a sheet with a hole in it or some PVC with some chains rigged into it. I would love to see what you have.
Or tone poles or whatever it is. Yep. I mean, let's not get too spoiled here. Back in my day, right? Back in 1996, there was no such thing as a portable basket. I wish I was kidding, but there wasn't. Only if you had a full-scale basket that somehow you had at your house and you cemented it in, there wasn't really such a thing as a portable basket. And so now there's 50 different versions on the market, ranging from 5 to 65 pounds and everything in between. So you guys are smart and creative. I know you'll find a way to find a target of sorts to throw at. And Christopher says, phenomenal interview. Thank you for treating FPO as fairly as MPO. JVD could use a book recommendation given the circumstances. He could use one. So thank you, Christopher. I read that off as a super chatter. So we appreciate it. Our super chat lines are still open. They are not on shutdown. Those are still available. If you're curious how they work or what they are, it's on the bottom of your YouTube screen. There's a little grayed out. It's gray. It likes to be lit up. So if you click on that little $sign, it says show your support for SmashBoxxTV. You can click on that, and then you can enter your PDGA number or your phone number, whatever you need to enter. You could do that. And Ryan Pilcher is giving big virtual hugs on our SmashBox super chat. So thank you, Ryan. We appreciate that.
Christopher Fowler, the last book I read was called, I believe, I don't know if I talked about it in here or not. I think I did. It's called The Warded Man. It was decent. It was more of a fantasy book.
Like W-A-R-T-E-D?
No, W-A-R-D-E-D. Warded. The Warded Man. I guess it's a whole series. I've only read the first one. It was good. I need to probably pick up the other ones. A buddy of mine had loaned me that one, and then Right now, I haven't seen him, and all of our libraries are closed, and it's very difficult to get anything. I might have to go online or audiobooks. Might have to go into the audiobooks section of my phone and see if there's anything out there.
All right. We'll save your boring stuff for the after show.
Oh, we got other cool stuff for the after show.
One other quick thing I saw out there. I do want to give a quick shout out. Vespa, 67 Vespa out of California. I appreciate it. He can also tell you how amazing both the Thailand event was at Koh Samui, along with the Asia Open. So Vespa, Aaron, I appreciate it. We appreciate it very much. Thank you for the support. So what I was going to say, though, is big shout out on the Samui Swine to wrap that coverage up. Paige and Nate did the commentary for that on the MPO side. So huge shout out to them. Thank you guys. I know they've been traveling cross country, figure out where they're going and what they're doing next. And at various iterations, they would stop and do commentary and then upload it to me. So those final 11 holes will be released. Well, not yet tonight. Oh, actually, they're uploading as we speak. So all of that will be either released tonight or first thing in the morning. So MPO side will be completely covered as well. And a shout out to the PDGA and Innova and Gary to the O and my Patreon subscribers. We were not contracted to cover the FPO, and due to some additional support, that's how I was able to give equal FPO coverage to equal MPO coverage for that event.
Bravo.
And super ecstatic to do so. So tip of the cap and hat to all the super helpful people and the gracious supporters and sponsors for that, including our PDGA.
We love the PDGA.
Speaking of the PDGA, Steve Hill is coming after our job. He's putting out video content.
Oh, jeez.
Working on his putting. He was part of
Keep working.
Yeah, he was part of the little social media release yesterday, asking people to possibly stay off the courses, and he gave us a little clip from California. So thanks, Steve Hill, for getting out in front of the camera and making it happen.
Thanks, Wes Warren. He says, cheers in these times, you guys. Heart emoji. Thanks for the peace. Bless you guys and your families.
Appreciate that, Wes.
We've been very fortunate. Both of our families, I'd say. Both of our families just celebrated birthdays.
Yeah, and that's another quick one for you. The 20th. I was going to say a few days ago.
March 20th.
March 20th, Johnny V's birthday. Some of you saw the...
28 years old again?
Yep. This is for the 14th time. So we saw Johnny V celebrated his birthday on the 20th. Hope you guys enjoyed a few of those throwback pictures I put out there on Facebook. Those for all to enjoy, as those are more than 20 years old. All of us.
There's a few pictures out there that we need to dig up. There's one on a tank. I want to see.
Yeah, that's from the 2008 Worlds, and that was also an instant classic. So I'll have to find that for you guys. But
2008 Worlds, there was one where we were. Was it at Albion?
Oh yeah, there was another one
under the
heart-shaped trellis.
Under the heart-shaped trellis. We
yes.
need to. You should dig those up.
Those are also
maybe next year
made available. And then my daughter, PDGA 50738, Mackenzie Lucy, her birthday was on the 21st. So happy birthday to my crazy daughter, the 9-year-old. So. I don't know if we have any other official business here or unofficial business in the regular show. The after show, of course, will probably get a little bit wild and crazy. I did have a couple of people reach out to me and said, hey, I think I won something in like maybe September, and I don't think I ever got it. Perfect. Absolutely. It's on the way. If there is anything of that nature that somehow we glossed over, or I then went out of town for a week or a month and somehow missed it, you are not hurting my feelings if you were saying, hey, jerk, you owe me something, because we probably do. So keep them coming, and whether that's from the Disc Golf Guy or from Smashbox, please feel free. And Ryan Pilcher, one of our super chatters, I know he's got a whole box of goodies coming his way as he just chimed in. Get off my back, Ryan. No, stay on me, because we'll get it out to you guys. All right, we're going to close up the regular show. Johnny and I have an idea. Well, Johnny had an idea. I'm along for the ride this time.
We're going to see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We're going to head into the after show. Again, a Patreon giveaway and some other fun. But for episode 290, we appreciate Dana Vici along with Sarah Hokom for joining us tonight. I think you guys are going to have fun in a little while. So for Johnny V and Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we'll see you in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBox TV's podcast 290 After Show. That doesn't flow to a podcast 290 after that. Yeah, that's a little tongue twister here. 290 shows. Wow, where has the time gone? I'm not sure. Either way, thank you guys so much for joining us here tonight. As many of you have already probably realized, the disc golf world is going to, I don't want to say scurry around or struggle, because already within the last week, I have seen a lot of progress, but I've seen a lot of enthusiasm, a little bit of creativity, some entrepreneurship. I feel like our disc golf community is doing really well, and is going to come out on top of this because they're coping and already recognizing the challenges that are in front of them. And I know we kind of talked about that with Sarah in the regular show as to the realities of what this is going to mean for them and their livelihood and their schedule and backup plans and so on. But online lessons, analysis, as Sarah mentioned, there are ways to both support a pro, but maybe even more so, selfishly, you want to get better. And there's ways to do that. So I think that's something that we're going to continue to see from our top-level players. They might get involved in more media opportunities as best as they can. There's so many good ways, I don't want to say to take advantage, but to maintain and probably broaden their skill sets, and just overall create a bigger social media following, broaden their fan base. If you look for that silver lining, it's definitely out there right now. So hopefully, and in any way we can assist and be part of that, we will be glad to do so. And Christopher says, giving his first super chat wasn't enough, and he came back for more. You can do it more than once, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. So if you thought, oh no, I broke the button or I broke the option, Christopher has proven otherwise. I don't know if there's a max limit. You're welcome to try and find out, but but we really do appreciate it. As he's also super chatted again. And yes, we are at number 290. 10 weeks from now, where does that put us? It's right around April, May, June. Does that put us right around Worlds? Our 300th could potentially come right around the World Championships, assuming that's a thing that's happening. I think back to our 100th was right around the 2016 AM Worlds, which took place here in Wisconsin.
Sounds
because
about
I
right.
remember a number of our top pros were very gracious and kind of gave us a little quick clip or a shout out for that. And that was right around AmWorld's time in 2016. So pretty incredible. I don't believe we've been here so long. Real quick, I will ask, have you seen or heard, you stay up on the other podcast more often than I do, business as usual for a lot of them?
As of this week, yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's only Tuesday. I've not seen anything from the Upshot or that's really or Dixon. Dixon on the box tends to be very golf related, so he probably will not have much out there until there's events to be had.
He's running a cereal challenge on his page, though, right? He morning breakfast cereal.
He runs a lot of different challenges, which is one of the things I love the most.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think I don't know about the PDGA. I don't know about any of the other podcasts. I think we're going to see in the next 2 to 3 weeks what everyone has in the tank.
Yeah, some people may have to dig deep, get creative. Some others may not. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities out there and a lot of different angles, and we'll see who takes advantage. If you're statistically driven, I think there's probably various things you could dive into for years of previous things that have happened. If you want to be more insightful about a player and their life and their livelihood, I think there's an opportunity for that. I mean, there's still plenty of things that can be talked about and covered. And I know that Disc Golf Network has understandably lost some subscribers,
of course,
because they're not seeing the live content. But Disc Golf Network specifically is trying to put up more and more content.
They're putting out a ton of interviews and things like that. And I saw, if you're a Disc Golf Network subscriber today, you probably saw an email, someone trying to go live or test out the live. My guess is it was probably Mo. Maybe it was Jeff, but more than likely Mo. Not quite understanding that I think if he puts out a test stream live, that it might push out to every single subscriber. I saw it in my email.
There might be things you don't want to see if they're in test mode over there with Mo.
That's right, which I know Mo had reached out to me asking about some help with doing some live interviews. And I kind of just said, "Geesh, you're going to need some software and a little help with that." But hopefully he got that all figured out.
All right. As always on the after show, we very much follow along with the YouTube chat board. So if there's something that you either want to ask or clarify or proclaim, usually I peruse it. If it's really, really smart and insightful, I will take it and reword it and pass it off as if it was my own thought. But if there's anything you want to share with us or talk about, you can put it there, assuming it's not crazy or nasty. Hopefully we can address it. Pete Hildebrandt, who is very supportive, I know, of many women's disc golf initiatives, asks, how can you contribute? Pete, for starters, I'll just generically say a lot of the pros have their Tour Series discs. You can probably find them on their page or their social medias. If you're talking about some of the media outlets, a lot of them have Patreon accounts like we do, for instance. And if you're talking very specifically about us over here at SmashBox, there is a small $sign at the bottom of the page that you can click on, and that will bring up a prompt for the super chat. That's one way that it directly goes to us. So whatever your question was, hopefully I've just answered it in some capacity. One quick thing I will say about the lockdown. That's not right. I don't know if that's the right word. The slowdown, the shutdown, the quarantines, whatever. You made a joke of it the other night, and now I very much have watched it with my own eyes, seeing how some of our major nightly shows, namely talk shows, how they're coping with this because they're not in studio. They obviously all their employees are at home, and then some of these talk show hosts, I think of, I've now seen them by The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. I've seen one with Jimmy Kimmel, a couple of them with Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Fallon is doing the same thing.
Jimmy Fallon, I think I've maybe seen one of his thus far. Stephen Colbert did one from his bathtub a few nights ago. I
like the Jimmy Fallon ones. I'm 50-50 on him in general as a interviewer, but his home ones have been very, go as far as say cute.
Okay.
And just his family is there and his wife is the cameraman, and there's
Okay.
just a lot going on. I made a joke about this, that it's really funny watching these people do interviews that look worse than ours.
From a technology
From a
standpoint.
technology standpoint, because you have these people just like us that are stuck in their houses, and they probably just have a laptop, and the signal can be a little sketchy at times, and this and that, and they probably go through and edit a little more than we do live. But it is really interesting watching all of these remote people have to, everything from your local newscasts. I'm seeing all these people like record these things from their living room, all these reporters, and it's just very interesting times.
Yeah. So here's my question for you guys. A little participation question would be, this is a warm up, by the way. I'd like to know, who are you watching, if anything? Are you strictly watching the news or various news outlets or channels, or are you consuming any of them? And if so, who do you think is doing it best? And like we just mentioned, a few that came to mind. I think of the Daily Show, Kimmel, Fallon, so on, and maybe there's some other ones. Or is there another show that, in the wake of this, that we should be turned on to, of someone who is doing it really well, and maybe they're doing it from home or on a low budget or something like that? Or I'll go one step further and say, is there someone that seems like they have a really great setup and they're not of studio quality or budget, but they have a really great setup and there's something that we could learn from it? So I would love to know if anyone has some of those thoughts or feedback that have been out there. Fairway Media says that they're killing it out there.
That's true. Fairway Media. Big, I've been keeping up with their news.
Yes, their nightly releases, the recaps,
knocking it out of the park.
The interviews. Yeah, we've been seeing all of those. So, all right, Johnny. So let's break it down for them. What do you have in the old think tank today that you presented and are looking to explore here?
So we're gonna run out of content. You wouldn't think so, but we might.
I can talk a lot.
I know. No. One of the things that we did a couple years ago was something called BattleBox, where we did 4 or 5 episodes of it, where we brought some players in and some disc golfers and had them kind of come on and do a little quiz show and this and that. I kind of want to bring that back maybe a couple times in the next few weeks, because we're going to have probably limited things to talk about. One of the options that I thought would be really great to have audience involvement in is Jackbox, which is kind of an online game that our users can participate in, and we can bring players on to play with us and things like that. So what I was hoping we could do tonight is maybe just kind of give it a test run and maybe work out some of the kinks before we do that. And one of the games I wanted to play was Quiplash. Now, what Quiplash is it gives you like 90 seconds to answer 7 or 8 questions. And then we have viewers at home and users, and whoever is playing gets to vote on the best answer, whether it's the best or the funniest, all sorts of things like that. So what I would love to do is if we can get some people on the board in to play Quiplash with us tonight in the after show, so we can kind of test this out.
Okay. Well, speaking of the show, I want to welcome quickly Ace Run has jumped on here. Great to see you guys. Thank you for all the support along with Fairway Media. We saw you guys join in on the board. Also, I think looks like we've got now Sarah Hokom, who of course was just our featured guest, along with Hannah Macbeth have jumped onto the board. So maybe there's a way that we could, is it when you're structuring some of these games, some will be individual, some will be team play. How do you see some of these, and do they all vary?
Yeah, they all kind of vary. This one is, if Sarah or Hannah want to join, have them reach out to Terry. He can send you the little join code before we share it.
Slide into my DMs.
Before we share it with the rest of the public, because we're going to probably have 8 people play tonight, and we can do things like this. Terry and I had talked about doing something like a taboo, or how some of the other games that we have with maybe our guests in the future. But I think tonight I want to try this to see how. Yeah, Sarah Hokom says you're creepy.
Wow. Tell me something they didn't know, Sarah.
Yeah, good luck.
Great, don't. Now everybody's going to go.
I know. Everyone, yes, there's jokes about that. So anyway, if for those of you out on the board that want to play, and I'm going to wait, but you can just go to open up any browser on your phone or on your tablet and go to Jackbox.tv.
That's appropriate. That's suitable for work?
That is suitable for work.
Okay.
And it's going to ask you for a name and a code. And I'm going to wait just a few more seconds to give out that code.
Yeah, let me send one.
I'm going to
more
hide
message.
it for a second.
Yep.
Watch this. See, watch this. I go merge. Here we are.
Oh, look at you. You
I
are
know.
so fancy.
Look at that. And then everyone will have the same chance once we give this out.
So this is what it looks like.
This is what it
look like.
This is what it looks like. It's called Quiplash. And again, so the way this works is it's going to ask us some random questions. We have to come up with an answer, and everyone votes on the answer. And I believe if you don't get into the game, you can still vote, because I believe I have that feature turned on.
What's the code?
What's the code? Gee, hold on a second.
We're going to see if we can make sure that Sarah can participate. She's asking.
There it is, up on the screen. Go ahead and mouth it so everyone knows it. And ultimately, what I'd like to do is not just have guests chime in like Sarah right now, who's off the screen. I'd love to have them dial in with a laptop, and then so we can get their video on screen as well. And then on top of that, have us be able to play this game. So we're gonna work on that hopefully for next week. But this week is gonna be more of a trial run for this, and we're gonna kind of play. Hannah says she wants to play.
Hannah, I just sent you a message via Facebook.
Check out your Facebook, Hannah, and Terry will send you that message so you can jump on and play. Like I said, Jackbox.tv. We're going to require a little bit of user input. Once we open this up, I'm going to see some people pop on. We're going to get this going.
What do I have to do? Just sit here and look pretty?
Yeah, you're going to sit here and just wait for the players to join.
Okay.
And then at that point, once we open it up, it'll be really quick because I think a bunch of our viewers will jump on. And what we might
do, it's limited in this case.
It's limited to the 8 players, but the audience, I believe, gets to vote as well.
Okay.
They get to vote on the answers. They don't get to give their answers, but they get to vote on their answers.
So now keep this in mind, folks. This is this is Johnny V's first go at it.
I'm just trying
I put a lot of faith in this guy.
I don't know why.
This will be our first go at it, so it should be kind of fun as to what we have going on. It looks like Sarah has officially joined us.
There
I believe
she
she comes in under Hatchet. I've also then sent the code over to Hannah, and then once they're in.
I think what we can do is in the future, we can get some of the players in, but if we have spots to fill, maybe we can hand that out to some of our Patreon supporters.
I like it.
So if you're a Patreon supporter, maybe you'll be able to get in on the game in the future. Maybe we'll have some of the YouTube viewers, some of our live viewers that are out there. We want to make sure to get them. So
I don't know who this is. It says Hannah M33.
I believe that's Paul.
Yeah, probably.
He likes to pretend he's Hannah because he doesn't want to, bring in all the
stays under the radar.
Stays under the radar.
All right.
So I'm gonna unhide the thing. So be ready.
Get your fingers ready.
Get your fingers
if you
ready.
want to
It's
be one of the other
first
four
to jump on before we play Quiplash.
All right. Here comes the code, folks. If you're watching live, first 4 to put that in.
There it is. ORXA is the code. You can join Johnny, Terry, Hannah, and Sarah Hokom.
Wow.
We'll see you. Oh, there's Cody.
Cody.
Atlian,
Holy
Fairway
cow.
Media, and DGAR or DGR, however you want to do it. All right, so we're going to start here. Extra players can join the audience. Your votes will influence the game. So we're going to wait just a few more minutes to see. We got 10 people, audience members, joining the game.
Just flooding in.
See, imagine a game like this with like you and me, Hannah, Sarah, maybe a Paul would want to join in. I know he's a gamer. He likes to play, but like a Zach Melton or a Robert McCall, Steve Rico.
So many.
Just think of the fun we could have doing this fun. So.
All right. Yeah, we're watching the numbers build up, and in a few moments we can get started. The premise of the game, I hope this is idiot proof.
Do you have the
I should
starter?
probably as I'm not on the right page.
Open up the tab.
Okay.
I think,
so do I click press this button when everybody has joined?
When everybody has joined, because you were the first one to join. So we're going to start in 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
So here are it's going to give us some questions, and we get to answer.
Okay, I guess we're just live and going at it. So
so everyone's going to see. No, everyone's not going to see mine. Everyone's going to see the game. All right, perfect. I thought maybe everyone was going to see my answers. All right, everybody. So hopefully, let us know your feedback on this and
What's going
how
on?
this works. It's just getting stuff set up.
Okay.
I think.
Oh, this is exciting.
All right, here we go.
Oh shoot, I'm not
Round
on the right screen.
1.
There we go.
Now there's going to be about,
nervous.
I think, 90 seconds or maybe 60 seconds. I don't know exactly how it goes. Oh, I can actually do this too because I believe there's audio to this, but I muted it for a second. I will unmute the audio.
Points based on the percentage of players who like your answer. All right.
While the players enter their quips, audience members can try the audience play-along on their devices.
These are now we have 65 seconds to answer all these questions.
Okay, I've
Or
got.
no, maybe we don't answer all the questions.
I was gonna say I've entered 2.
I've answered 2 questions, so everybody gets to answer apparently 2 questions. I thought we answered them all, but I guess there are just 2 questions, and then all of us get to vote, and all the audience gets to vote on it.
You're melting my brain here.
I know. It's yeah. Who do you think of? I'd love to know the viewers' idea on who you think would be a good guest for a game like this. I mean, think about it. We can reach out to anybody. We've got a few contacts. But I'd love to know suggestions to bring it for people to bring in on this particular game.
Are we supposed to be doing anything right now?
No, we're just waiting for everybody to answer all their
Time's running out.
questions.
Use a safety quip if you need it.
There's a safety quip, which I believe is just a generic answer that they come up with.
And so the audience is.
The audience will get to vote. So they're going to bring up a question. All of us get to vote on who the right one is, or
Okay,
who the
so
best
this kind
one
of
is.
has an apples to apples feel.
It's a very
in
apples to
sense.
apples, except the
Okay, I hope
audience
y'all
is
may be
participating.
Starting us off, a terrible place to dump Grandma's ashes.
Oh, so Johnny wins because Atlian didn't answer.
Oh.
And next is...
Let's go to the next
the
question.
way to celebrate being honored as Zoo Employee of the Month. Vote now.
And obviously, you know, the you get to vote on which one we get, and the winner will get the most points. So one of the other cool things about this is we can come up with our own questions. We can create our own game with our own questions. So I think I'm going to put out a form for our community and say, what questions do you think would be good? So Hannah wins with bad parkour.
Next up,
Imagine this, like
good
worst
use
name
for
for a
50
disc.
gallons of bacon grease.
Sure.
A good use for
It's
50
voting
gallons
time.
of bacon grease. Fuzzy dice or sledding. I love watching Terry just digest this.
I was so perplexed by that question,
You answered. Oh,
and somehow I won.
you won, Terry. Sorry, D-Garb.
Huh. All right, I'll take it, I guess.
Ooh, a super Quiplash. You get 500 bonus points.
I'm
And now I-
flashing all day, bro.
I don't think I've ever I truly played this. I've seen it
An
played before.
1800s fur trapper. Put in your votes.
The best part about being an 1800s fur trapper. And
I mean, there's not really a question there.
I think that now you also have the option to mute specific answers if it gets a little too dirty. Cody Duncan takes home all the jerky.
Okay, next one. The worst part about having your human brain living in a robot body.
Fairway Media says it's kind of who's funnier. Yeah, ultimately, it could be a funny answer. It could just be a clever. It could be a disc golf related answer because you know your audience better.
Yeah.
Next, what would happen if you removed all of Johnny Depp's many scarves?
Yeah, and for some reason,
Okay, vote.
I was thinking of that it had to be a short answer. I mean, I wasn't thinking into like, oh, you could like somewhat elaborate.
Elaborate a little bit.
So there I wrote skeleton. Oh,
Oh.
wow.
You got me by a point.
Yeah, I did.
Darn it.
Now in hindsight, I would have elaborated. Said, oh, you discover he's actually a skeleton. No, I don't know.
Sure.
Something enthusiastic you would yell at a Smash Mouth concert. Ready, set, vote.
Oh, this is, yeah. I think there's only one good answer here. I don't want to sway the audience, but
yeah.
Shift One Photo says he's loving this. And Hannah says this is so fun. Well, Hannah, join us maybe next week. You could be seeing as how you're very familiar.
We'll
with
let
the
you
game.
run the computer.
We'll no, but we'll let you join, and maybe you can get yourself a camera and
be part of this action. Yeah.
Fairway Media with "I'm the All-Star." I love that. I like that answer. All right,
Next in line, the pep talk you'd get from a football coach who bet on the other team.
So, where did all those were all questions that went to the rest of the audience?
Correct. No, the rest of our players, not the audience, the players. So each person gets apparently 2 questions, and they're 2 different questions. So in groups of 2. So you and I might have the same 2, or you and me and Sarah Hokom, or me and Hannah.
Kind of randomly.
Yep.
All right.
So we're gonna go now that we got this. We're gonna go for round 2. All the points
I
are
still
doubles,
don't understand, but okay. No, I'm just kidding.
including the winner
I
and the
get it.
bonuses. All right, everybody.
Folks in the audience can try the audience play along
Ooh,
while
audience
we wait
play
for our
along.
players to finish.
All right. Now that I got this,
It's more of a humor game. It's more to kind of get everybody involved. It's one of the ways that we always wanted to kind of showcase players and their humor and their fun. Oh, see, I don't like that that we see some of the answers come up. Like those look like they're popping
I wasn't
up.
paying any attention, so that helps.
No, nor was I.
And they don't seem to be. They're not specific to the
any
person
specific.
right now.
Correct. They're just popping up.
Okay.
Correct.
Ah!
It won't let you
Yeah.
vote for your own matchup.
Hurry
Yep,
up.
I
Use
saw
a
that.
safety
Darn
pin
it.
if you can't think of anything.
Hannah says she's upset. Hannah, why are you upset? Don't be upset.
Oh, to a mopey pig. Not sure I read that one right.
Reading is essential in this game.
Just disqualify me already.
If you bring your kids in,
No,
this
you did.
qualifies as an English class
Okay.
during these off times.
All right.
Pull your uncle's finger, he farts. If you push it, he blank. Okay, everybody, pick your favorite.
So like I said, we can create our own questions. This is what's the best part, I think. I would love to have like an entire disc golf related quiz, at least one chapter, so to speak, where we can have some really fun answers. Now, and I don't want it to be things like, what's your favorite course?
Yeah.
You know, I want them to be a little bit more creative than that.
Next one, a new baseball tradition you would like to see would be the 7th inning blank. Get to voting.
I am curious to know, maybe our YouTube crowd can let us know just how the volume is. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what you're just playing
I
with.
just bumped up the volume
If
a
the
little
volume on the game is at the right level or not. I can just barely hear it in my ear, which is probably just fine. But
it's always a little lower for us because I mean, I can crank it up here if we need to, but I think
so Hannah would like to see a youth volleyball game at the 7th inning of baseball games.
and I'm going with butt
Up
slaps.
is
Yeah.
Sorry, you
the
lost to
one
me.
thing that depresses Popeye. Vote away.
How is the?
I don't know if I like or not that you can see how each person voted. That might be just as troublesome. How's the what?
I'd love to know, audience, how we're feeling about this. If it's great, if we're having fun, if this is something we should maybe.
Our users haven't plummeted, or our viewers haven't, so that says something.
Good one, D-Garb. You got the full kebab.
Conspiracy alert. Aliens are real and they're blank. Vote on your devices.
The funny thing is, because it sounded earlier like Sarah Hokom was being abducted by aliens with her Skype went a little crazy for a little bit.
I think we definitely know then.
That's funny. Oh, sorry, Hannah. Terry wins that one.
No, that was fair.
Oh, that's fair with me. Hannah voted for the wrong one. Sorry.
Yeah, Hannah, way to vote for the wrong one.
You voted for the wrong one.
Oh, now I'm taking this personal.
This is a great name for a meteorologist.
Time to vote.
I think I already know who's going to win this one.
Uh-huh.
Porch says maybe wait till you really run out of disc golf content.
Okay.
For this, we'll play it we'll play it by ear, of course. This could be something we do next week. If there's a ton of disc golf content, maybe we don't. Maybe we save this for an after show next week. I honestly, I'm not sure how or what we're gonna do here. We don't want to step away from disc golf, obviously. If there's news to be had, we will be covering it. If there's things to look for.
Class hates you.
Yeah, and to follow that up with what you're saying.
And vote.
Well, wait, I got a question to answer here. I feel like you're gonna almost have to entirely scratch the after show of this week because from an audio podcast perspective, because
that's
this
true.
Is relatively useless if somebody's
because they're not hearing all the answers. They're hearing the questions, but they're not hearing the answers, and they don't see.
So if you've listened this far, you need a life on the audio version.
Well, what I'll do is I'll trim this part out because we'll still do a giveaway, and we'll figure that out.
But yeah, that would be the one downside is if anyone's looking forward to, which believe it or not, a few people do.
Oh, we have
look
lots of
forward
people.
to the after show audio. This is something that will not do them any good.
Vote away.
Yeah, this is.
I would assume that's in reference to Thomas Gilbert.
I would assume so. Oh, well, it was your question, so I would guess.
Oh, dang it. Good one, Cody. I was trying to go for the not so obvious.
I voted against you.
You would, you jerk face.
I believe
We've
there's
reached the end of round 2. Let's
3
see what
rounds
happened.
only.
All right.
Current scores. You're winning, DG guy.
Well, duh.
Oh, wait, you were.
Uh-oh.
Now I'm winning.
No, this is broke. I love how it does show. You can still join. ORXA is the code if somebody wants to join in late and see what's going on.
Comic Lash. I'm not sure what this is. We're going to find out.
This comic.
Illustrate the comic.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm stumped here.
Oh, yeah, and now that I'm done, I think of something far more clever.
Of course. It's that pressure, Terry. It's like that pressure putt, that 28-footer that you just would love to have back. Wes Warren says it looks like it's for 6-year-olds. This game in general, I think it's just a party game is what it is. It's just it's a fun little thing to kind of get a whole group together. Like you could play this at your house for a party with a bunch of people.
Okay,
All
here
it takes
we
is a
go.
cell phone.
Okay, in round 3, you get to award 3 medals: gold, silver, and bronze.
Ray says
Have at
next
it.
time I need to just be the host. I could do that as well if we have enough.
All right. So which one do you like more?
Now we have to vote for which one we like the most. Ooh, now I get to award a silver medal.
Yep. Oh wow.
And a bronze.
This is getting.
All right, so I voted for my 3 options.
Nice. Let's see who snagged the medals. Bronze. Show me the silver. And finally, gold. Let's see what the
I like
medals
my
to
gold.
points
It's looking
exchange
Yeah,
thick.
it looks like
these
you
days.
might have gotten the gold here.
Fairway Media with 1,000. DG Guy with 1,500. D Garb with 2,000. Atlian 2,500. Hannah 3,000. Johnny V 3,500. Sarah Hokom Hatchet with 4,000 points.
Going with
Over.
the
Let's see the final scores.
the timely answer.
What was her answer? I didn't even look.
Corona with lime.
Oh, Corona with lime. Ah, yes.
I feel like that wouldn't have been as funny 6 months ago.
I'm just saying.
No.
There's
F
a reason
this
I-
game. It's never getting played again. Give me the gun. I will take out your TV right now. We're done. We're done. This is
All
it.
right.
Never again. Clearly, it's rigged. The PDG has officially said everyone needs to quit playing Quiplash or whatever this is. We're going to get the note tomorrow. All right, guys.
I just want to bring this up just so everyone
Yeah,
sees.
you
This is
would.
the leaderboard.
The Twitch stats. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can send it to Twitch if we really want to.
In
But
all seriousness, that was certainly kind of fun. I would love to know if you were not directly one of the 8, and if you were quote unquote just an audience member, as I use that with air quotes. But like if it was truly enjoyable, I'd be curious to know. I mean, again, our amount of our viewers did not plummet, so it couldn't have been terrible, so to speak. But yeah, let us know what you guys thought of that. If that's something you'd like to see, if it would be far more entertaining if it was exclusively disc golf content, or if there's 3 sets of questions. If 1 out of the 3 need to be disc golf, or 2 out of the 3 need to be disc golf related or not. Those
Hannah
are all.
says that was so fun and stressful.
Nonetheless, thank you guys for joining us. The audience has votes too. I do like that. Andrew says the sound effects were kind of annoying, but okay. So
We can turn those down so they're a little bit quieter if that's the preference. Obviously, I don't want them too loud. I'll probably excuse me. I'll probably clip that little bit out of the podcast for the after show and do that. But I'm glad that we got a chance to play that, to test it out. Disc golf themed Jackbox games will be fun. Yeah, and Jackbox there are like 5 other games in here that I've never even seen or tried. That I don't even know how they play, so I didn't want to bring them up. I knew how Quiplash was. So there's one called Drawful, which is basically a drawing game where they ask you to draw something, and I think you draw it on your phone or tablet, or maybe they even have it on your computer. So there are other games we can test out and try in the future.
Of course, all licenses have been paid for, so that we can broadcast that in a public capacity.
I mean, this is all legal to broadcast.
I mean, they don't have any issues in terms of like, would they have an issue, do you think, in terms of like the format on YouTube, as opposed to a bunch of people just playing together?
No, it's meant to be. I mean,
Okay,
it's got
this
Twitch
is the
stats
kind of-
on there.
okay,
It's
yeah,
meant
this
to
is
be
the
streamed.
application.
It's
Okay.
meant to be done with audience and streamed and community kind of thing. It's
Okay.
a fun community builder.
Unfortunately, there is some bad news out there in the group I see. Schwebe's win streak was ended. Okay, it didn't end. Play was halted. That's the only way you can stop
You can
Ryan
stop
Schweberger from winning.
Stop the event.
Yeah, you have to end tournaments is the only way you can possibly slow him down from picking up his 17th win in a row. So, Schwebe, you broke disc golf, I guess is what we're going to have to say out there. Hannah had asked if we are doing more podcasts this week. We need more. Yeah, she sent me a message a day or two ago saying that there needs to be more of them because some of our disc golfers are bored, or maybe she's just bored.
Either way, we're here to make Hannah happy.
I'm going to be out there trail running is what I'm going to pick up in my spare time, Hannah. So I don't know if I'll have time for the podcast, but if I can get some more trail running in, I might be doing that. Sarah Hokom said that was fun, and definitely do disc golf themed questions. Good luck writing them.
Well, and that's why I think what I'll do is I will make a Google form and just kind of give a brief description, like, hey, if you wanted to ask, fun disc golf questions, and then maybe give an example. Like the one example I keep going back to is, what is the worst name for a disc golf for a golf disc? Like, and then have people come up with fun ones. And if we can get a bunch of people, if we can group mind this and have and come up with maybe 10, 15, 20 questions, I think it could be fun, because we could reuse those with different groups. And again, Terry and I don't have to play. We can be here, the host.
Oh, I can heckle.
We
I'm
heckle
at least
with the best
1,000 rated heckler if I need to.
We can be audience members just like
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure out what works out best, and dare I say, maybe one angle that we could take at it to kind of appease everyone is have our regular show, have what we would deem as a typical after show, and then after that go right to game time. And then someone...
Are we here till 3 a.m.?
Why not? Well,
some of us still do have to work, technically.
I do. You're right. I have editing I have to do. So that's another way that we could potentially break it out, so that if somebody really wanted to be involved, although I know that could push into late night. Hey, dare I say...
We could do this another night.
That, or we could also even come in an hour early and do it before our regular podcast as well.
That's true. We could do it earlier.
Gosh, I'm just coming up with answers left and right. Get me back on that game. I got so many answers.
Let's not.
All right. So reading off the board a little bit more, Hannah says that I think she's going to see we're going to see some more content on Paul Macbeth's YouTube channel. I'm guessing that Hannah's more in control of that than anyone else. So she says that we're going to see more content there, which is great. The DG Beat suggests a segment idea of dive into Terry's stash. Oh, you're talking about my discs. Okay. Some of us oldies but goodies. Show us some of the oldies but goodies. Funny enough, a few days ago when I had made I think an Instagram story of sorts, Brody Smith reached out to me and said, hey, what's the best way to store discs? And then that went down a rabbit hole of, well, how many are you talking? Are you, is this for putting them in your trunk and take them, weekend to weekend? Are you collecting? I had so many questions that follow that, because that definitely impacts the answer. And then I was talking to him about plastic bins and how I store all of my discs, and then went on to say that I've got quite a few that, and some people were really intrigued by Simon when he had visited me a year ago and saw my storage facility. And again, that idea. And Brody also thought, hey, there's probably some good content in there with your hoarding ways. There might be some good content in there, as I was flipping through my discs just a few days ago, or a few of them to dig for something. So that's always on the table. I feel like I can go to that at any point as an idea. We
could literally do a bin a week.
I was just going to say, I could just show up. I could go to storage, grab a bin, bring it here, and then we could sift through it, and I could give you insight on one or all 37 of the discs that are in there and where they came from, or something that they relate to. Some bins are way more exciting than others. In a bin, you may find, because I'm not organized, you may find 37 different discs from 27 different tournaments that all have a different story, used or new. Or you might find that, oh, here's a bin of 33 bar stamped 10-year buzzes, and it's just 33 of those. So some bins are clearly more exciting than others, depending on how they've been thrown in there. So, but there could be some fun to that someday. Just be careful handling the whippets.
If we advertise Terry's going to go through a random bin, I don't doubt, not on a Tuesday night, but let's just say Thursday afternoon, I don't doubt that we get just as many viewers as we do on our Smashbox, because there are that many disc heads out there.
Just watch with the terminology. Disc heads. A gentleman out of New London, Wisconsin, wrote me a bad check, never made good on it. He went by disc heads. So if you've hunted him down after the 6 or 8 or 10 years ago, he wrote me a bad check for tournament fees. Feel free to squeeze him. I think he wrote a check for himself and one of his business partners to play in the tournament. The check eventually bounced, and he never made good on it. So if anyone's got that $120 that they could squeeze out of Disc Heads LLC in New London, Wisconsin.
Hannah Macbeth is making fun of me. We had a discussion on Twitter with her and I and Dana over what your favorite burner is on your stove. Which is the one that, what's your go-to burner? Like if you have does it depend on the size of the pot or pan? So I had said I prefer to use the front right one. It's a little bit smaller.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is that a bigger or smaller
That's
one?
For me. It's a smaller one.
Okay.
The front
it's bigger on mine.
The front left is a larger one for me.
Okay.
And I just like that. That's the area. I'm further away from the table where the kids usually are and everything, so I just have a little more room. And I made a comment like, "Oh yeah, that sometimes that's where I put I think I said the term pots on there," and she's making fun of me
because you use the term pots.
I think because I use the term pot instead of pan.
Pots and pans. She doesn't think those are a thing.
She asked which one goes in the oven, which one goes on top of the oven.
Oh, okay. So
now,
it's a semantics.
You don't usually you don't put a pot in the oven.
Okay.
But I do put pans in the oven. Because I have a cast iron skillet, cast iron pan. It's the shape of a pan. It's called a cast iron skillet. And that will go in my oven, depending on what I'm cooking. But I also use it on top. Sometimes it goes right from the top in if I'm cooking a nice steak.
Yeah.
I mean.
Baller.
Yeah. This is after show discussion right here. So, Miss Hannah Macbeth, you step off.
All right. Schwebby chimes in. I'm not sure if he's writing answers for Quiplash or whatever, but he says front left. So he's on pace with you there, Johnny. I mean, for me,
no, I'm a front right guy.
Oh, you said front left.
No, Hannah and Dana were both
you said
front
your
left.
front right.
I'm
is
front
the small,
right
is a
is the
small
smaller
one,
one.
whereas my front right is a large one.
I almost took a picture of it and put it on Twitter, but my wife was doing like not a conference call, but she was just kind of chatting with some friends, and I didn't want to look weird, like I'm taking pictures of my stove. Not that would be the strangest thing.
Where was she that it would have made it look weird? Oh, because
she was
you would
right
have been
in
behind
the kitchen.
her.
I would have been like right behind her.
I was like, what does her conference call have to do with your stove?
Yeah.
Is she broadcasting from the stovetop?
Yeah.
No, okay.
No, but she was right there. And
okay. She would have been in the background of it. Quick side note, and I know some people were asking about it earlier. Are we seeing, again, if we're looking for a silver lining, greedy or entrepreneurial or capitalistic, all or none of the above, are we seeing a surge in development or continuation of broadcasting options and Skype type options, Zoom, so on and so forth? Give us some technical insight into what's Zoom and why is it what my kids are using and talking about as opposed to a Google Hangout or
a Google Meet actually now is what
or
it would
whatever
be.
they're
Nobody
called.
uses,
Sure.
Yeah, they changed the name. Zoom is just kind of I don't want to call it flavor of the month. They've been around for 5 or 6 years. I believe the people that made it originally came up with Cisco WebEx, which wasn't Cisco, it was just WebEx at the time, and Cisco bought them. I think that's the case. Zoom it's just a really easy online thing, just like Skype. We tend to use Skype here on the broadcast because it's really ubiquitous. Everybody seems to have a Skype account at some point, and it's really easy.
If
to
you're
use.
old like us, they do.
If you're old like us, now we could use Zoom, or with Dana, we actually have our own built-in system, so he can actually dial in whenever he wants, pop on the show. We don't have to call him. He's got almost like a bat phone to us that he can pop in whenever he wants. It's just, I don't know why Zoom just happened to take off as opposed to Google Meet or Hangout. I think it was just timing, honestly.
Well, I'll say, and that's why I kind of throw it out to everyone on the board as to if your kids are using it or if you're using it for some reason. I'd love to know if there are legitimate advantages or disadvantages to it and why it has become seemingly like the most preferred method. I know.
I haven't even used it yet, which is funny.
Yeah, I know, and I was just signing up for it myself because I do want to see what it's all about. And my daughter, who turned 9 a couple days ago, and then my 11-year-old, they're both using it for their online school right now. And
do they not have Google accounts, or do they?
They do, and everything is pushed through Google.
So
for
the fact
most
that they're
part,
not using Meet
exactly,
is
I thought
interesting.
is really interesting. And like a lot of schools out there, and some of you guys can attest to this, my daughters specifically at their school use Chromebooks all year long. So the fact that there's a Google OS background to all of this, or operating system, or a Chrome, background and operating system, and then they're using yet this other software as opposed to a Google solution is genuinely surprises me. So interesting. DG Beat says, I used Zoom for the first time yesterday when my daughter had a chat with her teacher and the rest of the kids in her class. Yeah, exactly. So you're finding...
Which is really funny, because there was an article about 6 months ago, maybe it was a little more than that. There was a flaw, a bug on Zoom where they were, I believe if someone could forgive me, I'm gonna have to go back and look, but I think they could hack your camera. Or something along those lines, or they were hacking your information or anything like that. But Ryan Pilcher says Google Meet is a paid-only service now. I believe that's not the case for schools. But then again, I think that those are open to, I think Google opened it up right now for use if you have a Google account, I believe. I'm not 100% on that. But yes, Zoom is probably free, which is why a lot of people are using it.
All right. Well, I see also that Disc Golf Comedy, speaking of bat phones and good setups, I know there was a release that Disc Golf Comedy had put out just yesterday with regard, I know Sarah Hokom just touched on it a few minutes ago in our regular show, about some putting routines and contests and competitions and worksheets and things to do. Immediately in the back of my head, I was thinking about the one that was just released by Tyler and Disc Golf Comedy. Do we want to check in with Tyler for a few minutes and talk? I mean, we don't have to. Tyler, if he's available.
Tyler stood me up last night.
Ouch.
We talked about doing. There's a few disc golf games that have been released. There's Ultimate Disc Golf and Perfect Round Disc Golf on Steam. I've downloaded them both and played them. One of, I believe it's, I don't even want to say. One of them is still in the alpha. I believe it's Perfect Round, and it's very, glitchy isn't the word. It's very tough to play because your guy can get your character can get into weird positions, and I couldn't get things to work. And then there's the other one, which I believe is Ultimate Disc Golf. That was actually a lot of fun, and I just started playing it. I played literally one round, mess around, and him and I were going to do some streaming of it last night, and he stood me up. So,
well, it sounds like we might be able to get him to join us in a few moments, but I also convey that, or relay, Josh from UDisc tells us that Zoom was marketed well with TV recently, and then also Zoom has also been free for under 40 minutes, I think. So maybe that's when my kids are have all 30-minute sessions for school right now, is because they're using a free version possibly. But we'll see if we can get Tyler in, and we can talk about the putting competition that was just released. And I think it's a way to win some free stuff. So I figure it's worth us sharing for you guys, because who doesn't like free stuff?
I just sent Tyler a Facebook message. He knows what to do with the information that I gave him.
Also reading off the board. Zappel Braff says they made Zoom free too since social distancing came to be. So, okay. So those are all the reasons, and some of the other things that are have come as developments, silver linings, whatever you want to call it, entrepreneurial spirit. And shout out to, I've seen now probably 4 or 5 different distilleries around the country that have said, hey, we can help make hand sanitizer. I was like, hand sanitizer. They have said, we can help make hand sanitizer.
Wow, come on.
We'll try it. I'll get it out clean this time. Hand sanitizer. And most of them are either giving it away for free or at their cost or something like that. So I've seen a handful of companies and distilleries doing that. So big shout out to anyone like that has contributed some of their resources or time or energy. It's very cool to see.
Yeah, it's interesting because I went into the back area here where my tool area is, and I found 3 N95 masks that everyone's looking for, or that people are looking for. One of which has, because I had 4, the case was opened. I'd used one when I was doing some woodworking a couple of years ago for when I built a toy box for my son. And so I still had 3 left, one of which had a bunch of sawdust still on it, even though it had never been used. The other 2 were brand new, and all I thought was like, do I take these over to the hospital that's 2 blocks from my house and just say, here, take my mask?
Here's 2 more.
I don't know if that's...
Yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt, that's for sure. We know everyone's in need of those. Well, I think it looks like he's getting himself lined up, and in just a few moments, we should be able to have Mr. Disc Golf Comedy, Tyler Brickley, joining us here on the show.
All right, let's bring Tyler in.
All right, thanks to Disc Baron in our digital green room, we'll bring in Tyler Brickley, Disc Golf Comedy. How we doing tonight, buddy?
What's up? Hey, this worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You now have the secret Dana bat number. That's Dana's call number, but I know you have our VMix call set up because you and I do this sometimes on Monday nights, and
I've never been on this side. Oh, and by the way, listen, I said, do you want to play tomorrow night? And you said, maybe. Like a one word reply, guys.
Oh, wow.
That's the whole story.
So who stood up who here?
That's a great question.
Whom?
Not like we had it, written
we didn't
in
have
blood or anything.
And it was kind of funny because I didn't even think about it until about 9 o'clock. I was like, oh, yeah, Tyler was going to message me, I thought. I go, oh, well.
I like the narrative of you being like down by your computer, just waiting, refreshing Facebook Messenger.
Yep.
Just like all by myself.
Yeah, that's what he was doing. It's pretty sad.
Quite frequent.
All right, buddy. So I feel like it was the last day, I saw you out there in your backyard giving it your all, and you guys are working on a contest and a little bit of a social media sprawl. Tell us about it.
So it is the Putt in Place Challenge. I'll put that hashtag in the chat, which is obviously a spin on how many people are being sheltered in place right now, or hashtag shelter in place. We started talking about this last Thursday, just because I was talking to Scott Kesey, who's the general manager of DGA, and we were like, the writing on the wall is we are all going to be in our backyards exclusively soon. That was our guess. And so we started headed towards, well, can we think of some fun activity that everybody could do together and challenge each other and have something to do? Everybody's going to be putting, but have some sort of unified game that we could all be playing together. So basically what it is, I called Chris Zegon at Perfect Putt 360 and said, DGA has this great line of training baskets. You have a really fun putting game app. Yep. So do you want to do something together? And he was all about it. So essentially he's going to give away. Let me back up. How you do it is you play the game, you get a score, and then every time that you beat that score, you just upload those 2 pictures to the internet with that hashtag, and you're entered into. Thanks, JVD. Now they know.
Now they know. I know. It normally says Dana. I just took it off just because we're using the same shot we use with Dana. But Terry made a point of it. He's pointing at it, yelling at me.
Yep. Like, you're not going to get a second date with this guy if you don't
put his name up.
Say my name.
So you do the game, you get a score, say 150. Well, then you do the game again, you get a 152. You take a screenshot of both of those, you upload it, wherever. And then you're automatically entered to win prizes from Perfect Putt 360 every week. And then on May 1st, we're going to draw for a mock shift training basket out of all those people. Yeah, not Dana. Sorry, Hannah. I know it looks like him because his beard comes down to here.
Not tonight. Red. He's clean shaven except for the nice giant Bernie Brewer mustache.
That wasn't in. Somebody gave me a really nice recap of the entire night.
Did you catch our Quiplash show? Did you catch that part of it?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
We played an online game here tonight, Tyler.
Oh, here it is. New games, Samui, Hokom, bat phones, stoves. Does that sum up the stream tonight?
That pretty much nails it.
Okay. Well,
I mean, if that's not a disc golf podcast, I don't know what is.
Can I just put that in the podcast show notes or?
Yeah. Cody Garner, thanks for that eloquent sum up there. I don't know what any of that means, but I'm excited to learn.
Either do we.
So. Yeah.
So you want somebody to now? Do they only get to post the picture if they've improved upon their score? Is that's the premise?
Exactly. That's another super cool thing about it is the challenge is so simple. The challenge is just beat your previous high score. So for somebody like me who's not very good at putting, that means I'm trying to beat a 179 right now. But Terry, who is the world speed golf champion in 2014, 2011,
old school.
He's going to be trying to beat his 278s. I actually saw Hannah Macbeth put up a 250 something last week. Unreal. Like, I consider myself a pretty good putter, and I have not broken 200 yet. I'm like,
oh, she barely looks over $110.
Hey, ouch. Got her.
Yeah, but her score though was 250. Yeah.
Eat it, Hannah.
Wow.
So anyway, that's essentially it. Download the Perfect Putt 360 app, go play it, post with hashtag Putt in place. Over the next couple days, we're going to be offering some deals on all of our training baskets as well, where you can buy them at a discount, get them at free shipping, get them with a handful of putters, get a big box of putters at a discount, basically to equip people to be training at home.
Yeah, and I feel like that was a great conversation piece even last week that was kind of addressed, is that it would be a good time, and we don't want to tell disc golf manufacturers how to run their business, but now is a great time.
Yeah, we do.
Run some specials on your baskets, get some more portable baskets out there. Now they have even a bigger point to participate in this, but it's a great time to move some portable baskets and hopefully keep people entertained. And maybe now's the time when Dad can finally has a little downtime where he can actually introduce it to the 1 or 2 younger children, or 3 or 5 or whatever. Introduce the game, and you've got that much more time out in the backyard rather than running off to the course where you usually go be by your lonesome with your 6-pack or 12-pack. Go out to the backyard, bring the basket out there and get the whole family introduced if you haven't already.
I got to ask, have you guys messed with that app at all?
The Perfect Putt? I haven't.
No, that would imply that somehow I care about throwing discs around, which I would like to. I see a lot of people talking about it. What's that?
That implication could be made, right?
Yeah. I just honestly, I see a lot of people talking about it. It sounds like a great way. And I think back to even a year or 2 or 3 years ago, before it really became like common conversation, Chris Herron here in Wisconsin, who's arguably one of the best players to ever come out of Wisconsin, he talked about it a lot a couple years ago even, I feel like. So It's clearly a great training regimen and something that holds you a little bit more accountable. I'm sure someone like Sarah Hokom is also listening to, she did her putting challenge a few years ago and talked about rejuvenating that. So it sounds like a great all-around training tool. Yeah,
it's going to be fun. We're going to do it there's another 6 weeks left in the contest, so it's going to be around for a while, and we're going to have a lot of people beating their high scores and challenging other people. And I'm challenging you guys right now to beat a 179.
79. Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, I could probably do that left-handed, but
I was going to say, I think first try out of the box, you guys are both going to beat 170. I wanted to ask the chat who's played it and what's your average score?
Okay,
let me know
question.
20 seconds from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and then so I do want to follow up, and I almost hate that I have to even ask, but we are 100% relying on 100% honesty from our submissions. Is that right?
That was a conversation we had last Thursday, and we were originally going to ask people to video the entire round and post it online, but it can take upwards of 20 minutes. And we were like, I think the the accessibility we would lose by asking people to do that wouldn't make it worth maybe having 1 or 2 rotten apples. So Hannah, don't cheat. Okay. Just put up your real score, and then everybody don't ruin it for everybody, basically. And then I think we'll be fine.
Hannah is on the board saying Paul was 1 25-footer off of perfect. Sigh. Well, here's the funny part. I hope he gets the perfect, then he can't post because he can't improve on that, and he's going to disqualify himself. So there, Paul. Another fun challenge I saw today. I don't know if you saw this one, Tyler. Thomas Gilbert up in Canada was how many putts could he make in a row before he filled the basket? And I think the number was like 57 or 58 20-footers.
That's kind of the game within the game of how many putters do you own?
or disc, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
See, I think Tyler would be a lot of fun on Quiplash.
I beg to differ.
I agree with Terry. I don't even know what that is.
So we maybe we'll introduce it. We'll play it some Monday night. It'll be fun.
Okay, we're for sure planning on getting together this coming Monday night, right, JVD? You're not gonna stand me up again?
This is awkward.
Great.
This is really awkward. I think his internet has to wash its hair that night.
Really busy.
I think
Tyler,
it's pushing midnight.
Give everyone a little insight as to what either, I don't want to say a daily routine, but what are some of the projects or things that you're working on right now within disc golf or outside of disc golf, but I guess inside disc golf is probably more appropriate.
Inside of disc golf, I was wondering if I was going to have any time off, what with, everybody work schedules being uncertain as they are. But DGA has prioritized me continuing to put out content because we need it. Everybody's stuck at home. They're in front of their screens. They're in front of their phones, and they're looking for disc golf content that isn't being, filled by the normal channels. So I'm still here. I'm still working on stuff. I am working a lot on this putting challenge. So to that end, hey, thanks for having me on tonight and giving me another couple days employment guaranteed. Really appreciate that.
We'll send Scott the bill. A little teasy.
Yeah, exactly. But in addition to that, I'm working, one of the most fun projects I'm working on right now is 3D models of 2 more of our baskets. I made a 3D version of this Mach 7 here behind me last year and animated that for a promo video. So I get to do that with our Mach 5 and Mach X coming up. So those are fun. Those are kind of fun, nerdy little things that I get to do.
Yeah, and your projects can be pretty intense. I mean, I think of 3D modeling of baskets, like that's some serious. Is that brain
seriously.
power? Or is that serious?
It's
RAM
really
and
hard because
computing
I
power?
have to email the guy on Fiverr, I don't know, maybe 17 times throughout the whole thing, and
He's
there's
not
a
lying.
time zone difference,
Okay.
and he's using some smart words, that I don't understand, obviously, because I'm not. So yeah, no, it's taxing, but don't tell Scott that.
Scott doesn't stay up this late.
Yeah. Scott doesn't watch
I charged
anything.
him a super high premium bill for that. 3D modeling. Wow, that's going to be $20,000. At least to do that.
Scott doesn't even believe in Facebook. What does he know? Okay.
Hey, Brody Smith. Oh my gosh, Brody Smith missed 2 for a perfect 360. Wow. Yeah, seriously. So Terry's point kind of stands. You guys might want to pace yourself. If you want to keep breaking the record, you might kind of shank a couple on purpose so you have something to build on.
And the contest goes for how many weeks exactly again?
Until May 1st. We're going to give away a mock shift on May 1st. But more than the giveaways, it's fun to see what other people's scores are. And, get challenged from other people. I challenged Brody to beat a 39 yesterday. Brody, ball's in your court, man. I need to see those screenshots because I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, it doesn't matter until you post it. I mean, you can tell us here on the world's biggest and best disc golf podcast what you scored, but until you post it,
look,
you're not eligible.
There you go. See,
I might have to pull out my my portable basket.
I'm 2 away from perfect now too.
According to you, yes.
Well, actually, there are lots of screenshots proving my inadequacy at putting, unfortunately.
Do you have a? I know you're no more again of a doctor, or do you work for the CDC than the rest of us? But do you have a projection or a thought about when we're going to see disc golf again? Like,
No, I actually, I know though, because I do have some
okay.
medical experience. I saw a doctor about 3.5 years ago for an annual checkup, and I was asking him a lot of questions, and so I kind of feel like I am. Plus, I use WebMD a lot. So I would say, based on my medical expertise, that we're going to be back to playing disc golf anywhere from 1 to 7 from now.
Okay. Yeah. Months, years, quarters. Could be anything.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying you don't know. Brody and the rest of the world want to know, where is the challenge? Where can we go find this challenge we keep speaking of?
You can go to discgolf.com/puttinplace. You'll see a video that I made this afternoon. You'll see some examples. You can check out the hashtag #puttinplace. You'll see some examples there. You'll see some 6 scores being put up by everybody but me. I'm just trying to break 200. I was out there tonight. No wind, absolutely perfect night. I just can't do it.
Wow. Are you making yourself eligible?
I just can't do, I'm sorry. I just can't do it.
All right, that was Tyler Brickley, everybody.
All right. Well, go check it out.
Oh,
that'd have been a great exit.
Man, I'm glad that I still had my shirt on when you cut back to me, by the way.
Yeah, because usually when you get up for most interviews, the first thing that comes off,
I'm like,
rip off the shirt.
Yeah, I had to run upstairs and put this on, when you said I was going on the show. So thanks for having me on.
Of course.
All right, buddy. Yeah. Is that all we got?
That's all we got.
See ya.
We're just going to cut him off.
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
Late. All right, Tyler Brickley. Again, discgolf.com/puttinplace. No, this is not a paid advertisement. We are in no way compensated. If Scott and Tyler want to work together and get us a basket to give away on behalf of SmashBox in some capacity, I will awkwardly put them in that position right now. But we would love to find a way to give away a basket here on our SmashBoxxTV podcast. So in all seriousness, thank you to Tyler and Disc Golf Association. Let's keep these people busy, keep them safe, keep them at home, safe and indoors, or in maybe your backyard or possibly your basement, wherever it needs to be. I don't have much else for you here,
We
Johnny.
need to give something away.
Oh, let's give it away.
Let's give something away. Give it away now, as Anthony Kiedis once told me.
Yep. Let's give away. I'm sure you have somewhere, because I know I have one. Let's give away the Blood Sugar Sex Magic CD from the...
It's probably back
I
there.
know. That's what I'm saying. Let's find the case.
It wouldn't be mine. It would probably be my wife's, because honestly, I was never the biggest fan of the Chili Peppers, but maybe my wife had it. I did have the Red Hot Chili Peppers Greatest Hits, which was not their official Greatest Hits. Best Buy, way back
knocked it off?
Did knock off Greatest Hits. This came out, so it doesn't have any of, Blood Sugar Sex Magic on it.
It's Best Buy's version of their greatest hits of the Red Hot Chili Peppers that they were allowed to play.
They were allowed
in the
to put on in the store. So it is back there. I think it's got Kick a Hole in the Sky, a couple of their from their early ones. That is the most I had, and I got it for $3.99 when I worked at Best Buy. So that is the extent of my Red Hot Chili Peppers albums. I don't even think you can find that anywhere else other than at Best Buy back in 1995.
I'll end with the note, since it was just your birthday. I'll end with the note that when I was in a Target or somewhere a few weeks ago, I saw, as I was walking through the electronics department or somewhere in that area, there was a Just Hits or Serious Hits Now or whatever it's called, or Just Hits or Just Serious Hits Now, whatever. And it was literally number 87.
Sure.
At one point, folks, this is going to date us a little bit. At one point, I believe those were an annual release CD. So if you had,
I think they called it Jock Jams.
Well, there was, yeah, it like serious hits now 7. I feel like was literally the 7th one in the 7th year of doing it. And I'm thinking, I'm not this old that there's 67 or 87 or whatever it was years that have gone by.
I'm
so
sure
clearly
they come out like one a month now.
Yeah, now they've ramped up production on those. But it definitely brought me back to, I remember when Just Hits or Serious Hits Now or whatever it was called, whatever that series is called, when they released number 1. For some of you that don't know what a CD is, it's like the size of a little bit bigger than a mini. All right, it's a little flatter. All right, we do have something to give away. I am shipping out a bunch more stuff tomorrow, so I will find some goodies within there. And also, I'll make a quick plug. If you're commenting on any of the Samui footage, you also have a chance to win stuff from my channel, the Disc Golf Guy. So
fantastic.
Go out there, like, subscribe, do all that stuff other people tell you to do. But comment. Make a comment in there. Hopefully it's a polite one. Hopefully it's maybe even something relative to what I asked for in the actual footage, like where's your favorite place to play or what's your favorite throwing putter. Those types of questions were out there. But leave a comment and you could win there too. So we've got free stuff everywhere. We will buy your love and affection one way or another.
That's what we do. All right, so if you want to be eligible for our weekly giveaway, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV and sign up at any single level or tier, whatever you want to call it. This week, we have 204 people eligible for our giveaway. Like Terry said, we're going to find something to give away. Terry's got a lot of stuff.
Lots of good stuff.
Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll dig back and you'll get a Red Hot Chili Peppers Greatest Hits album.
Don't hold your breath.
But don't hold your breath because
until the next one comes out.
There's a lot of CDs back there. I could give away a CD every week, and it would be ridiculous. But once again, that is patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Terry, we have 204 people eligible for a giveaway.
Oh, I love those numbers. Like, you turned 42. We have 204. Let's split the difference. We're going to go with 3. The third number you draw will be the winner that will relate to the spreadsheet. How did you organize the spreadsheet tonight?
I went with the crazy name. Sorted by name.
First name or last name?
It's only one column. It's name.
You didn't go in there with a space, comma, delimiter, separator?
Name.
Come on. What kind of database admin aren't you?
Name.
All right, guys.
So we're going to do the third one, says Terry, and we're going to hit this a couple times here. We're going to go generate 1, generate 2, generate 3, and it's number 170.
170.
Here is our list. 170 is Sam Martin.
Sam Martin.
Congratulations, Sam.
Huge Smashy and super supporter. Sam, thank you for everything you've always done to support us. I know you in a lot of different ways, whether it's physically on site with something like the Skyline Classic or Smashbox endeavors monetarily or in any other capacity. We appreciate it, Sam. So thank you very much. Looks like you got some goodies coming your way.
Much appreciated, Sam.
Let's go. Sorry, guys, you missed out. But, hey, you're still eligible. All you got to do is comment on my stuff over at the Disc Golf Guy channel. You might win a disc there or 2. So there you go. Sam is on the board. He says, you just made my night.
Thanks, Sam.
Awesome. Well, we're glad we could.
Appreciated.
Now go make some putts with Perfect Putt 360.
Perfect. Not only that, but I thought I saw that UDisc is releasing some sort of putting thing as well. Part of the UDisc app. I don't know. I believe it. Last I heard, they were trying to get it through the Apple Store to update it. I don't believe it has been updated yet. I've been checking every other day or so.
I keep checking and I keep thinking, oh man, I can't wait till they release that putting app that I won't practice with.
I'm not going to use it, but I'm just curious as to what it entails.
We want it out there, and
I want everyone to be a better putter.
Yeah.
But for now,
well, except for the people in my division, if I ever play again.
That's true. If you're over 40 and rated under 940, please don't practice putting. It already looks like you don't. So,
and if you're a pro over 40, don't bother practice putting because I don't. So it's not fair that you do.
It's not fair if you do, if we don't.
Yeah, I never practice. So,
and if we do end up beating you, you should be even extra embarrassed. I'm just saying.
I agree. All right. We appreciate it. Again, DJ, you're asking who gets the $3. If that's what anyone at any level is automatically eligible. So you could have started giving us $1 1 month ago, and you were still in the drawing for tonight. So
I
at any
downloaded
level,
the list tonight.
Yep, we download it fresh every week. So if you support us at any level, that makes you eligible for the weekly drawings. If you want a disc or other stuff at the end of the year, then there's other components to that. But $1 makes you eligible.
I am going to say for our clothing level, which we give out quarterly, which means that it should be at the end of this month, I believe, is when it really should come out. I don't know what Miles' situation is right now, so if I'll keep you up to date on that. If for some reason we can't get something out, we will make it. We'll make it right. I promise.
Yeah. And
so if whether that's giving you two T-shirts next time, or maybe we give you a nicer polo or like a pullover instead for the $10 level, just be aware that we are working within everybody's constraints on that. But I'll keep you up to date. I need to talk to Miles on that and see what the situation is. I know he's out of Illinois, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on there.
Yeah, they're just working on shutdown. I talked to Miles today, so he will not ship you coronavirus, which is really nice of him.
Oh, that's sweet.
He promised that. So, all right, guys, we're gonna close it out. Thank you for joining us. It was a little bit wild and crazy here tonight. Look for some additional content. We're gonna do our best to get it to you, and we're more than excited to do so to try and keep everybody sane. But when we're not around, make sure you're out practice putting with one of the tremendous apps or games or challenges that are available. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, thank you again to Sarah Hokom and Hannah Macbeth for joining us here in the after show along with Tyler Brickley. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.